I've
had to hose him down already.
Had to hose him down. He looks like he's got a bit of sunstroke. There's legend. One day sun.
I was on the veranda at Bradford.
Oh yeah, well, with his mates.
We're live on Facebook. We'll be on.
We're live on
YouTube
Facebook. I was going to say if you're watching on YouTube, but obviously you're not because you're not allowed. Because Rich has broken it. We really are going to have a technical.
Well, the problem is I am the most negative man in rugby league.
Oh, you are. Yes,
of
course you are. You are.
On social media, I've got a message to those people on social media. You can't see that though.
You might have seen it in the reflection of my glasses on the bright light on your phone.
It's like if I was on the pitch and I'd scored a try. I know this is all completely hypothetical, and then a current rugby league player came up to interview me. It's what I'd tell them to do.
Okay.
You don't think that enhanced the coverage then?
No.
Well, I don't want to be accused of being anti-BBC within 5 seconds of going on air.
No. Forgive me for asking.
But it's a bloody stupid idea.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if it persists. Welcome along on Facebook and on the old podcast. Nice to have you with us. We will be talking about Leeds after 7. Now, in fairness to this show, we did say last week, should Bradford beat Leeds, Dave Furner would get the sack. So I guess we were right in one way. We'll get the Leeds point of view on what has been a disastrous week and a half. There's no other way to describe it other than that. Well done to the Bulls, though. We must pay credit. John Keir, Cup hero. You should have had John Keir on your coaching staff, Scott. You might have won something. But we'll move on.
Hold on. When John Keir took over Huddersfield, I had a better stats than him. And
did.
Tony Smith.
Yeah.
And Mal Reilly.
Yeah, but alright, I get that.
There
He's
you go.
since won the Challenge Cup twice, kept Wakefield in Super League and provided umpteen miracles. How did your coaching career go?
Move on.
Okay, we will move on.
You're not throwing your hat in the ring for Headingley then, just yet?
Well, hold on, we're going to talk. We are going to talk.
No, I'm just asking.
We're going to talk about Leeds post 7 o'clock. I'm just waiting to see if YouTube's going to come on, because if it doesn't, Rich could officially be sacked before the show. So we're already late on air. The complaints we've had already on social media, it's unbelievable. Now he's messing about with a tripod. This is schoolboy stuff. Now he's broken it. If anyone knows how to work a phone, give us a call on or messages on Facebook.
Because we don't have a phone number.
Yeah, we don't have a phone number.
Hats off to Hull KR.
Hats off to Hull KR.
Well, we got that wrong.
Well, did we get this week? Last week we got abused by everyone who was a Salford fan.
Yep.
Saying how rubbish we are at tipping. Now, in fairness, we all tipped Salford to win this week.
Yep.
But every time we tip Salford to win, they lose.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
Also, by the way, as well, I said to Phil, Jackson Hastings, for Great Britain, consistency. Do me a favour.
Are we on YouTube now?
Yeah.
Hello on YouTube. The millions of listeners, watchers, viewers. We are not talking about Leeds till after 7. That is the rule. We started a couple of minutes ago. We've been waiting for you to join us. Rich has been under pressure, as you can tell. He's going to have a well-earned weekend off this weekend, so we'll see how he gets on.
The seaside.
He's off to the seaside.
You can join me. Yeah,
you can be joined.
Not in the press box.
What do they have to do then? So we've got some tickets for the back.
Although nowadays they seem to let fans on the TV to do commentary.
We're in favour, aren't we? Because the governing body is giving us tickets.
Yeah, I felt like us. We've had a chat. We've had cleared the air talks with the Rugby Football League.
Okay.
And, we're back in their good books. So over to you, Super League now. We'll play both sides up.
Send the bachelors peas.
Yeah. Basically, retweet the show on Twitter, share it on Facebook, like us on YouTube, subscribe, and we'll pick a winner out sometime on Wednesday.
Okay.
And what have we got? What are we giving away?
A pair of tickets for the weekend.
Yeah.
Both days.
One's playing on the wing for Batley, and the other one's playing in the front row for Fev. Do with it what you will.
I don't think, say get your tickets now or whatever. I'm sure there'll be tickets available, but...
Are you going to put a thing on the bottom of the screen?
What, live? No.
No, you can't do that. What about a video? We could say buy your tickets here, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, never mind. We'll move on. Go to the Rugby League website.
Tickets have, though, picked up nicely. Bradford, Widnes and Lee leading the way. But get there early on Saturday when it's Toronto versus Toulouse. First game on before Catalan's Wigan on Sky.
But isn't there an academy game on as well?
That's the first official game. But before that, 11 o'clock, Yorkshire Lancashire Academy, which might be the first game, was really good.
Origin 2.
Lots of top names will be involved in there, but we don't know who until they've named the 90-man squad for Super League at the weekend. And on the Sunday, because we're big fans of the women's game, Yorkshire Lancashire Academy, Yorkshire Lancashire Women's Origin, 10:45. So if you've had a late night on Saturday, just stay up all night.
You'll be just
roll in.
coming in then,
Yeah.
Ledge, won't you?
Straight to the ground.
You'll be about
Get
right
your
then.
breakfast,
all-nighter.
roll in, 10:45, kick off.
Yeah.
You know,
Very
you
good.
can doze off later during Battle of Dewsbury. I'm not supposed to say that.
And even our magazine, new issue out at
What
the end of this
magazine's
week.
that for?
That'll be 4020.
All right.
And of course-
We will be giving away tickets for Club Wembley. So
What, for the Bash? That's not very good, is it? Oh, sorry, you mean for the Cup final?
yeah,
Right.
there'll be nobody there this week. But
Well, there'll be millions of Bradford fans getting involved with that, I'm sure. We will talk Bradford Leeds after 7. Right, I've got a question, boys, that I want to ask, based on the weekend that has just gone. Have Wigan turned the corner? Because I watched most of that game yesterday, and I thought they should have won. And it raises two questions, right? Zach Hardacre should have kicked for... we know that. Had they have won... Oh, no, not even they didn't win. Are Warrington big game bottlers? Is that a fair question to ask? Because they didn't play well in the cup final. They got beat in the grand final. You know, under pressure yesterday, they nearly threw it away, didn't they?
Well, what you saw yesterday, and yeah, I totally agree with you. Wigan
And you were there.
Wigan deserved.
You were there,
you're on my telly.
Wigan deserved to win yesterday. There's no two ways about it. And why that try was disallowed, fantastic tackle. That was that was the moment of the game. The Thomas Lutherwise tackle on
It is in the
Blake
rules, though, that is a knock on. You know, that, I mean, that we should make that
That's
clear.
probably why it was disallowed.
Yeah, probably that's
It's
why
just
it
in
was
the
disallowed.
terms.
Well, hold on. They said he would have knocked from Thomas Lutherwise. Well, why did Wigan get the head and feed then?
Because the
Shrug.
first knock on was from Blake Austin when he hit him.
Well,
But then Lulai knocked on before he picked it up.
from my point of view, it was a dead set strike anyway.
Sean Wayne thinks it wasn't a try.
That was very helpful of Sean.
Yeah.
But Wigan,
to just to add in the fact that he thought it was the right decision why Wigan lost.
yeah,
Well done, Sean.
we wouldn't have said that would have been still with the coach. Don't we, about that? As
Well,
we-
that's
as-
what I was thinking.
as
You
we
know,
all
all
know.
these players on the it's the death of rugby league. I think, hang on, fellas, you're supposed to be promoting the game, not kicking it in the goalies. Which I thought the coverage was fine, no problem with that. But don't say that.
yeah.
And also, if that had happened against them in the cup, they would be the first score to say it's a knock on. Why is that try being allowed? So you can't have it both.
Yeah,
ways.
It's a two-way thing anyway. But apart from that, we talk about Warrington, and I totally agree with you. When they had the big games last year, the big game players balled it. And yesterday, and I say I was sat next.
Some would say, in fairness, I'll just jump in there before
Yeah.
say, they went to Saints and won in the semi-final. That was a big game,
Yeah, well,
and they did win
yeah,
that.
well,
And I've asked the question, and I'll use that against
Hold on,
myself.
that's semi-final. When we talk about the finals, what they've been in, the big game players bottled it. And as we know, last year, from a point of view, the half-backs were totally clueless. There was boring. They didn't create anything. The kicking game was very ordinary. And even the Pearl yesterday, Ellery was having some great discussions during the game and what have you. And Ellery picked out 2 points about it. He said, "You know what's going?" He says, "The big game players here for Warrington, they're not showing up. Blake Austin was nowhere to be seen. Patton was nowhere to be seen. Chris Hill and Mike Cooper wasn't doing the sort
Cooper
of...
played well, I thought.
Yeah, but he wasn't doing the sort of damage. And also, to the big man...
Darryl Clark was good.
And Clarkey was good. If you let him play, he'll rip you apart. But also, to the big man, Big Murdoch, Tika Masilla. You know, realistically, he's supposed to come off the bench and make an impact.
He's been struggling recently. I've noticed
It
a
made
few people have
absolutely
been
no
commenting about him.
impact whatsoever. So it is a worrying factor for when the big games come around. Yeah, semi-final time, that's okay. But then when you look at them in the silverware, same problem as last year. The big game players went missing.
What struck me again, which won't come as a surprise to anyone, was that when Sean O'Loughlin is on the field, Wigan are just a completely different team. He was absolutely magnificent.
Immense.
They had to take him off towards the end and then introduce him, for the last 5 minutes. If they could have got just a little bit more out of him physically, they would have won that game. He was in absolutely everything that struggling sides that we'll talk about later don't have at the moment. But just every pass he gave was a telling one that put a player into space.
Yeah.
Every tackle he made absolutely creased the person in two that he was tackling and gave a lift to all the guys around him. I can see why they keep him in cotton wool. I can see why they'll pick some games for him to play in that meant a lot, and that one of those would have been yesterday. If he could have just got 5 more minutes out of Sean O'Loughlin, I think Wigan would have won.
But also,
Well, if Zach Hardacre could have kicked the ball in a touch,
Exactly.
they would have
But also-
had a better chance.
Well, again, what was it, about 15 minutes they didn't see the ball after that.
But also as well, again, myself and the Pearl, we said, from a point of view for Wigan's performance yesterday, and when you look at that squad, and the question we were saying to each other was, why are Wigan in the position what they are? When you look at an inconsistent what they've shown all season.
So they don't
It's a head scratcher, isn't
they
it?
don't
It's
have
a head
enough
scratcher.
big game players.
Well, I'll tell you what.
At the moment.
When you look
Well,
at it.
I got hammered last week, and I think you did as well, Phil, by
did.
Wigan fans, because we said, they're not consistent. People saying they've won 3 games on the spin. I think I said, well, come back when they've beaten Warrington a couple of times and beaten Catalan next week. They didn't win, but
They look
cup
different.
finals are fine margins, or cup games are fine margins, and it was a fine margin why they didn't win.
yeah.
I, as a Wigan fan, I'd go away from that probably being more optimistic
Without a
than
doubt.
I have been all season.
If Wigan make the 5, you won't bet your bottom dollar that Wigan won't go all the way to the grand final.
Well, we keep talking about big games and knowing how to win big games.
Yeah,
Now,
they know to do
if
it.
you look at recent history in our game,
Yeah.
the only teams that win big games are Leeds and Wigan.
Correct.
Pretty much. Castleford had a go. They
Absolutely.
bombed out. Ulkar got to a cup final.
Hull
got
have had a go
blown
years
away.
ago.
Yeah, Hull. So we've won 2 cup finals, but in Super League they haven't. They've not got to the grand final.
But
have they?
they bombed 2 semi-finals.
Yeah, both of them. They've gone off thinking we should have won today.
Correct.
Well, I think our good friend Bilko tweeted today the astonishing fact that of the 2 big trophies that are available, Leeds and or Wigan have been in every final since 2006.
Well, what does that tell you?
That says everything.
What does
doesn't
that tell you? So, I think it's a valid point about Warrington. It's a question I've still got. They've been wobbling a bit, and all right, they were great early on. They don't have to be great now. They need to be great ultimately, probably for 3 games at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But I think the question is there to be asked, and I think if you're going to play them in a big game, you're thinking we can get into these.
After the game yesterday, because the Challenge Cup draw was done in there, and we was in the Legends Bar behind the sticks, and when it was, and the Warrington fans were coming to me, and they were in agreement yesterday that Warrington were lucky to win. They were lucky to win, but at the end of the day, fellas, a win's a win. They're in the hat, and they say they go to Wilkie in the quarter final. So the players won't be complaining, will they? But the fans do it themselves. But hey, listen. They're in the hat, simple as that.
They've got some very, very good players who made a significant difference individually. I thought Ratchford again. He's prone to an error, but the good things came from him.
I think his consistency has gone up.
Yes.
His bad game, and he
Yeah.
used to throwing a stick, and he still will. All players,
Yeah.
Gary will say, all players do. I think his bad games are getting a lot further apart now. I like him, Ratford.
But I thought
think he's good.
he was one of the difference between the teams, but there wasn't a lot, and you just wonder. Have they fully got over losing 2 finals last year? Is there still a psychological scar in knockout matches?
Maybe there is. I don't know. And pressure when you're expected to win.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, the likelihood is they're going to be at home in a semi-final to get to Old Trafford. So whoever they're playing will be the underdog.
Yeah.
That's when you can handle pressure or not.
Spoke to Kevin Brown as well yesterday, and asked him how he was doing. He said he's coming on very well, and he's lucky to be back sometime in July.
Well, if
Do they have to give their money back?
him,
Yeah.
can they? I mean, that'd be interesting.
Oh, is he
what
deregistered,
actual-
is he?
Well, they have
They
to
got
apply for a
dispensation.
dispensation, but they've not used it, have they? So they might not have gone through with it.
Yeah. But he reckons,
Well, there's talk that Ryan Atkins might be leaving.
Yeah, I understand.
At
I
the
know for
same
a fact
time,
Tim
Kevin
Cruz,
Brown may be coming back. So.
I know a couple
But
of.
he'll be like a new signing if he comes back in July from there at the business end of the season. He'll be like a new signing. Won't
Where
he?
would you play him instead of Declan Patton?
Oh yeah. There's no two ways about it. Yeah. No.
Interesting. Let us know what you think, Rich. You've been quite. Are you all right, pal?
Yeah,
I'm a bit
well,
worried
no,
about you. You're a bit- come on,
I'm
what's wrong?
annoyed. I'm
You're annoyed?
Ooh.
Because
His gander is up.
Hashtag
Right, okay.
people are idiots.
Where is that cup? Has someone nicked that as well?
No, we've got a new cup.
Oh, we
we'll
have a
talk
new-
about it in a bit as well.
Thank you for
yeah, tacklecount.com.
our new mug.
Yeah.
There's a mug.
Gordon, why are you looking at me? Why are you
What?
saying that?
Gary, that is not for you.
We've got a new mug. You're the old mug.
You're the big mug. That's the little one.
That's
I'm
it. Can I take that home for a week?
Only if you promise to wash it up.
Dual Reggie.
Can you right? I know we're talking about Leeds after 7. But
Yes.
I sent a tweet earlier about Bradford because the papers have gone early today. I think.
Yeah, go on then.
Is League Express.
Bearing in mind, you said Leeds would win by 50 last week.
I did. I was only time I want Leeds to win the.
Richie, you said 50. Well, I said 30, and look at the
Yeah,
stick I got, and you've only got stick by
yeah,
Coventry.
And then you compounded that by saying that we're going to lose by 30.
Bulls creating something special, headlining League Express today. And I said, I see we're going with the Bradford back narrative with slightly more evidence brackets 1 match than Zach's back then. They were good on Saturday, but the Bulls need to remain financially stable, forget beating a poor Leeds side. I don't think there's anything wrong with that statement. I don't think there's anything particularly negative about that statement against Bradford. And yet I'm getting loads of stick, including from media managers of clubs in League One.
Is that not the same media manager that said something derogatory about Scoy at one point?
He's only interested in the negative side of the game and dragging the sport down. That's why I was at Wakefield versus Fev yesterday.
Women.
Yeah. Ladies.
Yeah, you know, I've got nothing. My negativity is not about Bradford. I want that. Look, I'll say. I was thinking about this the other day. If they can get crowds of 10,000 every week, Bradford would be a much better fit in Super League than, say, Huddersfield and Salford and even my team Wakefield. There you go. I'm going to say my team. There's I'm not biased here.
What?
And here's the thing, though. If they want to be in Super League, they've got to win their way in there because we got rid of franchising and licensing because people didn't like it. Would Bradford be perfect in Super League if everything was run correctly? Yes. But let's not go after 2 seasons
what
and say they're
Saturday
perfect
was.
now.
Saturday was an indicator to anybody who runs Super League these days exactly what they are missing out on.
It was also an indication of less is more.
Absolutely.
If that was the fifth time Bradford had played Leeds
of
this
course,
year, there would have been
of course.
4,000 there,
Yeah.
like every other cup tie.
Yeah.
So let's not kid anyone.
Absolutely.
You know,
It was the
there was a
rarity
great crowd.
value.
It was the perfect draw for Bradford. Financially, they've sold the tickets well done. Well done to the Leeds fans that went as well.
Yeah.
You know, great atmosphere,
Especially when
brilliant.
it's on the telly.
But it is a perfect example of less is more.
Well, right.
You know,
will there
if
be 10,000 when they play Halifax on the telly in a few weeks?
Well, that's going to be an interesting one, isn't it?
So
That's not-
if, so
no,
if
that's not
you're
negative.
the next thing that Bradford need to do to capitalise on what was unquestionably a wonderful day for the club on and off the field, what do they do next? Because the likelihood is, even if they get to the semi-final of the Challenge Cup and beat Halifax at home, for which again that's such an even game, you wouldn't want to pick a winner at this stage, especially as they've got to play each other this weekend. Are they more likely to capitalise on the fans who clearly came back if they were to get to the final of the 1895 Cup rather than the Challenge Cup? They were to be able to say, let's go to Wembley, let's take the Bradford Bull flag moniker shirt.
That'd be great for the club.
'Cause
It'd
it's
be
really
great for the
difficult for
city
them
as
now,
well.
isn't it?
I don't think anyone would be bothered. It's the second competition.
No, I think you're going to Wembley.
Degrading that.
You're
You go
going
to
to
Wembley in a competition you can win. You know, you look at the Football League trophy.
Absolutely.
Sunderland Portsmouth,
Absolutely.
85,000 people went. It's Division 3, if you like, football.
Yeah.
They're not bothered. They want to go watch the team win at Wembley.
So
the Bulls fans, they will go.
I think they should target the 1895 Cup as the next really big day on the horizon.
Well,
where they could win a trophy at the National Stadium and take those 10,000 fans with them.
Here's an example of why people don't listen to what I say or what any of us say.
Oh,
Jay says, just don't make you dislike the Bulls. I've just said they'd be a perfect fit for Super League.
yeah. He does dislike him,
yeah.
Jay. There's no hiding. He doesn't like
This is
him.
not like...
But he's not. It's not an agenda.
Opinions, go listen to everyone else's podcast when they don't
I
have
think
one.
we've always had an issue with the way the Bulls were reformed.
Because it's
And
nonsense.
the decision to keep them in the Championship and the
trading off the name.
not enough acknowledgement that if you're saying that something's been liquidated, it's actually still there.
That's why I'll be honest.
Exactly
I didn't go on Saturday for that reason. I couldn't, and I've said this on the thing. I'll never go watch them again. I'm a Bradford lad, and I hope they do well. But because of that, I'll not go. And it's nothing against the people. I hope they make it work. I really do. I don't agree with what happened, and that's it. I'll not go. And I was even at 1:30. I was thinking I might go, and I thought, no, I'm not going. I don't want to go. It's not. No, not for me.
And
That's my opinion.
We need to rest smarter as well. We're bad image.
Who
Bad image for
cares?
Rugby League.
Yeah,
Bad
bad
image for
image.
Rugby
Bad
League.
image.
You go watch the other programmes that are an even worse image for Rugby League. But then again, no.
Are you
Really?
all right? Are you all right?
Oh, can I just say my favourite letter in the league?
What's wrong with our attire?
I was wearing a tie.
Well,
actually.
Skolars looking
just
quite
because
smart today.
mine's from the 70s. I mean, he's got
No.
proper shoes on today. He's
Yeah,
normally-
he looks smart. In fact, this is probably the
yeah,
smartest
yeah,
we've ever been.
What's wrong with this? Smart
Just look now.
pants and shoes.
Breathing a bit.
You know what I mean? You must admit the humble pie I've been eating all week, and these 32s are nipping, I'll tell you. The humble pie
Yeah,
I had to eat.
you must have had that much. You only needed a gallon of custard to get it down, wouldn't you?
Oh, man.
I don't want to say it's easy to get a letter in the League Express letters page, having done it a few times. But well done to David Bright of Northampton. What's that thing called in Private Eye? Where they,
Coleman Balls.
No, is it Brown Nose's Corner or something?
Oh,
or
right.
Is it Viz? I don't know. But David Bright of Northampton, he says, just a quick note, on the RL Backchat programme that is broadcast every Thursday on Free Sports TV. Congratulations on the producers of the show for For the range of opinion we have seen on the programme so far this year, in my view, it is the best Rugby League discussion programme on the airways. That's David Brown with Northampton. Went back Rugby League Back Chat in the Rugby League Express, the sponsors and producers of Rugby League Back Chat.
My guess is David will be a guest in the next few weeks.
Oh, come on,
we're glad they've moved out. We've got more room now.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
It's only banter.
Is it?
Does that still work these days?
I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway,
Hats off to Coventry Bears.
yes, go on then.
They won.
We're going all around the.
I think we're paying tribute to Hull KR. We're paying tribute to Wigan. I think we need to mention Huddersfield in the same vein as Wigan. I thought put up an absolutely superb performance against St Helens. But
can I?
One of the
Can I
results
raise?
of the week.
All right. We'll go to Coventry in a minute.
Coventry
Right.
Bears.
The Giants worked themselves. They worked hard.
They did.
Right.
They never allowed Saints to run away with the game.
They didn't. But I also think on another
day.
day, if Saints had wanted, they would have won by 30. I thought they should.
Do you think
I
they
was saying to
overplayed?
him,
They overplayed. So.
I just thought, what are you know? I mean, I like it. I like a bet on the handicap. I'm thinking, hang on, what's going on here? They were, for me, they never looked like losing. Honestly, it was tight because Saints were loose, very loose.
St Helens' performance yesterday, as you mentioned, there was never in doubt that they was going to lose that game. But yesterday's performance were like, you know, when you're at home and you turn the tap on and turn it off, turn it on and turn it off. That's exactly what that's all their performance was yesterday. When it's time, all right, if we go behind, when it's time to turn the tap on, we'll do it, and then we'll turn it off, and we're just going through the motions. We just can't wait until the 80 minutes is over. That's all it was.
To over entertain. If we can put in another 3 passes before we score, we will.
Yeah, I have to say. I mean,
I
was watching it thinking, what are you doing here?
When you talk about lacklustre, that performance from St Helens, after what about the first 5 minutes, or certainly the first 10 minutes, when they went to the right hand side with Makinson and the ball went in the did you see the pathetic attempt of Makinson trying to get the ball? I thought, God, Tommy, you're the golden boot winner, you're an international. Boy, oh boy, I tell you, your grandson could have made a better effort from that. But that's what it was. It was a turn on, turn off, turn on,
but
turn
I
off.
thought Huddersfield deserved credit for sticking in there.
They
could have easily been
because the way St Helens played.
I thought there was some backbone to them.
Yeah, I'm not saying there wasn't. Right.
I tell you what, Joe Waddle had his best game for the club yesterday.
Yeah, he played well.
He played well.
But someone in the media criticised Wakefield for losing too many close games. Well, Huddersfield are now falling into that category, aren't they? They lost by a point last week to half a team Wakefield. They got beat, all right, by the best team.
I just thought they could have been submerged by 30, and the fact that at the end they were still in the game, I thought was a credit.
Yeah. Look, I can't argue with that, but
I just
I'm like you again. I just never any point I'm thinking, they're going to win here. It was just like they were like that, just holding them off, and then they got in here. They went, oh, we'll score again.
You see, when you talk about Huddersfield from there, Phil, and also the way that they can't win big games. That try what Naguama scored, when they put the bomb up, there was 5 Huddersfield players around that ball. So you're telling me, and these guys are full-time professionals, these guys are at it twice a day, these guys know each other. One of them just said, my ball, I made a challenge for it, which is, again, when you talk about effort and commitment and enthusiasm, there was no purpose in it whatsoever. And how soft was that try?
I thought there was a spirit there. I think Simon Wolford said after the game that he thought that was their best goal line defence performance in the season.
Well, the crowd. What about the crowd? They gave 3,500. There were never 3,500.
6 o'clock on a Saturday night.
Never 3,500 there.
And on the telly.
Quite a good following from Saints, wasn't there?
Yeah, good following from Saints. But as far as Huddersfield fans were.
But anyway, Coventry were good.
41-30.
Yeah.
Big win over Workington.
What are Workington going to do now? Sack the coach?
Well,
they've lost him.
What we do know is we can categorically state none of the players underperformed or didn't turn up because they were on strike for Leon Price, because that was
fallacious.
Yeah.
Hey, what about London Skolars? Hey, we've got to say, well, the London Skolars, they're second. London Skolars, they're second.
League One should be on telly.
Yeah.
John's been on. He says, I know you don't normally do birthday wishes, but I'm sure all the panel... Phil knows where this is going. But I'm sure all the panel wish Charles Douglas Lawton, one of the great English coaches, a happy 75th birthday today.
Well, not quite all the panel.
3/4.
Just 3/4. You got a majority. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Doug.
Yes, happy birthday.
Are you still on your houseboat? Gone quiet to my left.
Move on.
You're back in the room.
It was good to see
Has he been hypnotised in a previous life where someone says Doug Lawton and he just goes...
It was good to see you in close relationship with Ellery yesterday on the telly, because all the myths that used to go around that the two of you didn't get on.
Well, it's a complete myth.
Yeah.
Complete myth.
Not that there aren't any myths in rugby league anymore at the moment.
The only worrying thing about that is it was Ellery that told us you don't get on.
It's a bit harsh. No, complete myth.
Yeah. You don't have to be the same sort of personality, but that doesn't mean you don't admire, respect and get on with somebody.
Exactly.
So it's good. It's good.
Apologies for the sound quality on YouTube. Due to technical issues beyond our control.
What are you doing?
Because they're using
What does that mean? We have to talk louder?
No, well.
You might need to just turn up the volume. Have you done that?
I don't have to do it on your phone. So I should have plugged the mic in, but I didn't have time. Do you know the exciting news about the Challenge Cup this weekend? He says reading from a press release. I tell you what, I've got
1.1 million people watched Leeds and Bradford, which is a huge audience.
Well, but only 2 million watched the whole weekend.
Yeah, but that's good apparently. The RFL have helpfully, I'll show this to the camera, you can't see it, highlighted the bit they want us to get over, which is very good of them, because I'm not a journalist, so I need to be told. Confirmation of the quarter-final schedule, which I'll come to in a moment, comes after a 6-round weekend which produced the highest aggregate attendance for this stage of the competition since 2008, with the Bradford Leeds tie attracting the best match gate in the last 16 since 2015. That's positive news.
Well, well done both to the Bulls fans and the Leeds fans. Well done to the pair of them.
Who drew the last round out? Because they should have drawn this round out, because it's not quite as exciting. But Thursday night on the telly, on Sky, Hull FC versus the Catalans Dragons.
I think that is going to be an interesting game. I don't think people underestimate it. I mean, those, as you just say, the last two teams that have won the cup, but arguably you would say the most likely prize for either of those two to win this year.
Stringy Bob not happy. Hardly going to bring any French fans over. Was going to go as neutral, but can't get there from work. It's on the telly though, Stringy Bob. Friday, Hull versus Warrington. Sky just moved the cameras.
Somebody had to be on the Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saturday, the prime slot. Not as you see people saying the BBC have chosen their game as Halifax Bradford's the prime slot. No, the prime game is Saturday on BBC One, because on BBC One, rugby league is full of misinformation. Saturday, June the 1st.
What, like players who have or haven't signed contracts?
Well, we'll come to that as well, won't we? Yeah. Saturday, June the 1st, St Helens versus Wakefield Trinity, a repeat of their 1979 Challenge Cup semi-final, widely regarded as one of the greatest of all time. Don't know if it
Do you remember?
No, I wasn't born, but I'm told it had a good finish. We won, that's all I know. 3:15 live on BBC One June the 1st, and on June the 2nd...
June the 1st, is that Champions League Day?
Yeah.
It's on
What time does that cup kick off? Is that an evening?
Yeah.
Good. Perfect appetite.
Joshua fights down all that day. Have you seen that boxer? He's fighting Joshua.
He makes you look like an athlete, that one.
Honestly.
Is he a big one?
He looks like, you know Oliver Hardy? He looks like the fat one out of Oliver Hardy. Honestly.
Oliver and Hardy, that's
pathetic. Isn't it? It's pathetic.
And you, Gregory. Right there. Bradford Bulls versus Halifax, Sunday, June 2nd. 2:45, live on the BBC Two, followed by semi-final draw. So there you go.
Good stuff.
So that is the TV coverage. All 4 games on the telly.
And are you going to explain to us what happens if it's the same two teams in the 1895 Cup?
Right. The RFL have also confirmed the implications.
Yes.
Of the progress made by Bradford and Halifax in the Coral Challenge Cup on the arrangements for the 1895 Cup. I hope they've got the sponsor in there, by the way. The new knockout competition for championship. Blah 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 blah. Both clubs will play their second round 1895 Cup ties, Bradford at Barrow and Halifax at home to Sheffield, on the Wednesday following the Challenge Cup quarter-final, brackets June the 5th. So there'll be a big crowd up in Barrow, all the Bradford fans going up on
Barrow will be a bit gutted about that, won't they?
Do the beanbag.
Or they might think we've got a better chance of winning if...
They may have, yeah.
If Bradford or Halifax reach the semi... Right, hang on.
Yeah, what if I reach semi-final?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not read ahead. If either of them reach the semi-finals of both the Coral Challenge Cup and the 1895 Cup, that's not sponsored, we should get a fiver in there, which are scheduled for consecutive days on July 27th and 28th, their 1895 Cup semi-final will be put back to the following Wednesday, July the 31st, providing a second chance to reach Wembley if they lose the Challenge Cup semi-final. If Bradford or Halifax become the first lower division team to reach the Challenge Cup final in the competition's 123-year history, is it true? Their place in the second 1895 Cup semi-final will be taken by the losers of the first semi-final. This is like the rules of 3-2-1. Where's Ted Rogers?
What's that quiz
It's the
with
bin.
Victoria
It's the bin.
Corran?
Only Connect.
Yeah,
No, this is more 3-2-1's more Only Connect. The winners of this get Dusty Bin.
Yeah,
Dusty Bin's going to
So
be
you
there.
get a loser's chance if
Also, by the way,
I think-
as we had Catalans who reached Wembley last year,
yes.
Bradford and Halifax gets the final. Will they be asked to put a bond in for next year?
I think they'd both be well supported. I've no doubt about that.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying.
Here's the question.
They're not expected to get anywhere near the semi-finals.
Here's the
never
question
mind.
then.
Never mind knocking on the
One
door.
of them is
80
going to
minutes away
get to
from
the
Wembley.
semi-final.
Yeah, one of them's
going to get to the semi-final.
Yeah,
Great for them.
yeah.
Fantastic.
What do you do
part
if
of
you're
a
in,
big event at Bolton?
What do you do if you're in the semi-final on a Wednesday and you draw Saints in the cup and you think,
That's what I'm saying.
might not beat them?
That's what I'm saying.
So what do we do on Wednesday when we're playing whoever? I don't know who's, whoever.
Dewsbury.
We might win that one.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So-
They should target the 1895
What do we do
cup
here?
because
Go on.
you incrementally get events and better.
Andy has said they should have made the 1895 Cup a final between the two highest placed championship brackets and low division clubs that have the best run in the cup. So this year's final would have been again Bradford versus Halifax, unless
That's only been said because they've got where they are.
But it is just an add-on competition for the sake of adding an add-on competition.
Well, I just
In the
don't.
way it's been
Again,
set up this year,
it's
without being
It's
negative.
incredibly unusual that there
Apologies.
will be a championship club in the semi-finals of the Challenge
Yeah,
Cup.
yeah. Well, fair
And
play
they were
them
trying to
both.
give them the second opportunity to get to Wembley, but
Yeah.
Apparently we've got a Wigan loving going on the show tonight. Well, it's to make up for last week when we
Wigan loving?
criticised for signing them off. Says
it's
Daniel.
not a lovely.
You do realise why we actually won yesterday? What is it with this Wigan loving? Get over it. Just play better than we expected them to.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I was actually disappointed Warrington didn't beat them by more personally, but that's just the opinion, and they didn't. And I thought Wigan, from what I saw, saw most of the game.
What's
I thought
important-
Wigan should have won.
What's important, I think, is that the next huge event we've got in our calendar is in Barcelona on Saturday evening.
It's a summer bash on.
I got an invite, and I can't go. I got invited. I got
You're
invited,
everywhere
and I
this
can't
week.
go.
Goodbye.
Well, I'll tell you later.
That's good.
Is it
But
Senor? I don't know what the Spanish is for wood.
No. I'm not. No.
it wasn't the full hospitality and mashings.
No, yeah, it wasn't too bad. Yeah.
But what
Scully would have been having it. I'll
the
tell
worry
you.
was that 2 or 3 weeks ago, Wigan would have been going into that game, and we'd have been worried whether it was going to be the contest that we want to show off to the people of Catalonia. And I think now it will, on the basis of what we saw from Wigan this week, which is better than anything they'd produced in the previous 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
So I think
I think a lot of people were going anyway. To be fair to Wigan fans,
it's
booked
not.
it anyway.
It's not
They
the
were
Wigan
going.
fans that are going. It's not the Catalonian
Yeah.
fans. It's the fact that I think you'll get, unlike perhaps the Magic Weekend, where I think we're now going to struggle for neutrals because Liverpool are going to Madrid, and that's going to, we've all been told how expensive that is. So you're a fan of Liverpool FC. You might not go to Anfield to watch a sport you're not familiar with. You might keep your 20-25 quid and try and get to Madrid. But I think a lot of people in the Barcelona area, out of just curiosity, may well now buy into the fact that there's a team wearing the colours, representing the name, and if they are playing a side like Wigan, who they may or may not have heard of, but they play in the manner that they did against Warrington, they'll get the spectacle we know and love from Rugby League. Why was Bradford and Leeds such a spectacle for neutrals buying in? Because it had everything you would want.
Yeah.
It showed our sport off in the best possible light.
I can't make my mind up whether Barcelona getting knocked out at Liverpool will hurt the crowd. At the
No, I
at
think
the
it'll
Nou Camp
I
or
think,
help it.
I
I
think
don't
it'll
know.
help it. I think
Do you
it's the other side of that Liverpool thing is that there probably are a lot of Barcelona fans whose season has come prematurely to an end, who can go to their home ground for relatively little, compared to football, it's a pittance.
How many people?
And see a team that can support and sport that they're not desperately familiar with.
I can't remember if you said it, Phil, or somebody else said it the other week, but people who are just in Barcelona on the day will be going on to have a look at the Camp Nou, to have a look around. And
Well, I would have thought it'd be better to go when there's a crowd there than when even if it's a smaller crowd than they normally get. So I hope it's a great success. I would have loved to have gone, but sadly I can't, which is disappointing. But still, I mean, what are people talking about on apart from you? What are
they
they
stopped
talking
abusing
about?
me, so that's good. Do you want to talk about? We'll talk about that in a moment. We'll talk about Peter as message because Salford lost to Hull KR. Well done, Hull KR, as we said earlier.
That's a terrific result for Hull KR.
Brilliant result.
You would say for Salford, that was
Disastrous.
their best chance of winning something. I think I said that on the Monday
Well, I
morning
picked them as
podcast.
an outside bet to win the cup because I genuinely thought that with the squad that they've got, that we all know will be breaking up, that keep them together for 3 games, they could have been the team that with nothing else to lose could have done what John Keir's team have traditionally done: pick their matches and just said, right, we're going to go to Wembley.
I know Scotty mentioned Jackson Hastings earlier, and apparently some fans had a bit of a go at him on Saturday, which is odd because obviously he's A, their best player, B, their best player probably by miles, C, the only reason they got him in the first place is because he hadn't behaved well, and that sounds bad, doesn't it, because of what we know about Australian rugby players, but I'm not saying that in the sense of done bad things, just the exuberance of youth. He wouldn't be at Salford had he not transgressed, and they've had a go at him.
I think it's unfair. I think he's done a hell of a lot for their club off the field. I don't agree with. You can question how he plays. I don't think you criticise him as a person, which I think is what some people
I think
would do.
99% of the time he's played, he's been their best player, and he like every other player, is entitled to
What did we make about Ian Watson? He complained about some of his players getting tapped up in effect. Well, they are allowed to speak to other players, and the fact that his club are not financially able to tie up deals for next year, given what you said last week about the financial predicaments, well, they are going to talk. I'm sure in your days, Scotty, people, you'll know players who were sorting moves out or had already agreed moves to go at this stage of the season. Shouldn't stop you playing well, especially not in a cup, should it?
I agree, and but by all accounts in the dressing room, the players are just literally at each other, because the ones who were allegedly staying, the ones who were going, they're asking about the commitment, they're asking about the desire. They reckon the dressing room, speaking to somebody at the weekend, is an absolute mess. It's an absolute mess.
Which is such a shame.
But Ian Watson, from a point of view where, no, he can't complain about that because clubs are entitled to. And
they will have been speaking to players from other clubs, I'm sure.
Well, and the other thing,
players are entitled to, so he can't help that. But
the week before,
they reckon the dressing room, though, Phil, at Salford is an absolute mess.
The week before, Ian Watson was the one that told the assembled media that he didn't think his club could keep the star names. The following week, he's then saying our players are being disrupted because we can't keep the star names. Well, you told everybody that the week before. The shame is that for a really bright young coach that's playing an attractive brand of rugby, if the dressing room is fractured and he can't do anything about that, it's going to detract from his reputation, which is such a shame.
He can't do anything about that dressing room. Can't do nothing.
Well, it's Saints on Friday, so that's not going to be a pleasant experience, is it?
Yeah, but they seem to play right away from home, Salford, don't we? To be honest, when we're expecting them to win, they put an absolute shocking performance. But having said that, take nothing away from OKR. Wilkinson Rovers were 18-6 down at half time, and literally held Salford in the second half to 0. And they just absolutely blitzed them. So let's give plenty of credit to Wilkinson Rovers for the team spirit and commitment they've got.
They've got a massive game this week as well with Huddersfield.
They have, but just the win they would have wanted.
Oh yeah, phenomenal. They just need to put some consistent
so
together because we don't know. How can you tip Hull KR this week? We don't know which Hull KR we're going to get. When they're good, they're very, very good, and when they're bad, they haven't been brilliant.
Well, the Huddersfield OKR is at Huddersfield again this week.
It is. On
Friday. Well, I was there, the last performance from there, and the OKR players after 30 minutes gave in. Absolutely gave in, so I would imagine, Timmy Sheen's reminding the players of that performance. I would imagine the Hull KR fans, because they turned out in plenty of numbers that night.
Well, you saw last week in against St Helens, and I was listening to you on the radio, and you said, look, they can play if they can play like this every week. They're going to beat a lot of teams. So they did that on Sunday. Saturday. They need to do it again next week, don't they?
Well, what Hull KR will do, they'll score plenty of points. Against St Helens, I've mostly 26 or 28 points in there, but again, it's a little bit like Leeds, which we'll get onto regarding their defence. But at times they just can't defend. They're too soft in defensive point of view. But Hull KR will always at times keep themselves in games because there's plenty of points in them.
Interesting. You can't help but feel they'll be disappointed with a draw getting Warrington at home.
That's an home draw, Matt. That's what you want quarter-finals.
Yeah,
they've got a home draw.
Yeah, and what we said about Warrington earlier, you never know.
They've got the Hotleys halfback partnership in Rugby League, if you believe everything you read in the papers.
Yeah.
Certainly one of the most valuable. Everybody wants. Well, not everybody, but somebody wants.
Yeah, they do indeed. Wakefield.
Yes.
3 tries late on in the game.
After a sending off.
They scraped through.
Yeah.
But they won.
Yeah. Thanks, Jonathan Davis.
and then they got St Helens. So
never liked him. All a joke.
it's not the draw you would have wanted.
No, but
we're watching the results coming in over the weekend thinking this looks quite good. If you get a favourable draw here, you're in the semi-finals and you're 2 games away. But look, if you win the cup, you've got to beat the best team.
I'm blaming Jonathan Davis. My nephew's blaming me because as soon as it came out St Helens on the telly, I said watch us, we'll get them now, and then we did. So never mind. Sorry, Henry. As you say, yeah, beating St Helens and won.
Does Henry think you're a miserable git?
Yeah, they call me grumpy.
Do they?
Yeah.
They know.
So, they know. Oh, yeah.
Kids are never wrong, are they?
No.
Kids are never wrong.
Yeah, went there and won last year. I think I commented it on my own. Got that hilarious penalty try a couple of years ago. Couldn't happen. Well, as you say, you've got to go and win somewhere.
The fact is, the games aren't next week, so we don't know who's going to be fit. We don't know who's
Wales
going to be in
back by
form.
then.
Exactly.
Jacob Miller, all the
who was it? I forget who the draw was last year. I don't know if it was the Saints Catalan game when Catalan all of a sudden found this form when the draw was made. We all thought, oh,
well,
that's a bad one.
there was 9 weeks between the draw and that actual game.
Wakefield are in a good right. Wakefield are down on numbers. They're having to basically go with a team that's fit. Chris Chester might just think next couple of weeks I'm going to leave a couple out. They're in an okay position in the league. Yeah. They maybe can wear a defeat or two. What's it's this season? Is it in? I said last week I think they could win Super League.
And
I think they could win.
The other thing is they can go there with not a care in the world because the bookies will not expect them to win. Even their fans would. But I think that makes them very, very dangerous.
I'm
when
not
a
so
Wakefield
sure
are the most dangerous.
Yeah, but I'm not so sure they can. We might all be going, oh, they might not win. They'll be thinking they'll win.
No, that's what makes them dangerous, I think.
As long as they play better than they did at Salford the other year, when we all thought they'd win and they went and got absolutely battered.
Important game for Wakefield this week at London, just psychologically, because there's that mark on the start of the season.
It's the unhappy serendipity, isn't it, of the song Que Sera Sera, made famous by Doris Day. I had to check that on the internet. That's why we've got the internet.
Did she just die?
Exactly. Unhappy serendipity. What will be, will be. We're going to Wembley. Well, we might not be now. But we might be. We might be. We might not.
You've got some cash on that as well.
Well, yeah, but I have that every year. And now the football season's finished, I'm down to Wakefield to win the Challenge Cup and Amber Rudd next Prime Minister. I don't know which one's more likely.
Good luck with that one. Good luck with that one.
Yeah, so, that's good. Everyone's debating the merits of the 1895 Cup and Andy's ideas, so that's good. Don't forget, coming up, Leeds in Crisis, the extra special version coming up after 7 o'clock.
And don't forget, you
can I just say,
don't forget tickets for the bash.
Can I just thank everybody who tweeted us on the weekend? The Twitter went crazy.
It did.
I was actually disappointed. I did.
What, yours or mine?
You won't have seen it, Scott, but I put out when the Bulls went in front. I wonder if I can get 5,000 Leeds in Crisis t-shirts up to Odsel in the next hour. And everyone was like, oh, I'll buy one. But it was, well, we'll talk about it after 7.
We got some great abuse.
I bet your guests were happy. The people that entertained you. I bet they were happy.
We'll talk about that later. Gary's list. You've had a right weekend, haven't you? Like Ikram, but you've not been at home all weekend.
It's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a bit true.
I've never seen Ikram, but he's always out dining, fine dining.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
Yeah, you were this week.
We haven't got
good hospitality at Warrington.
Yeah, but who's
enjoy it?
Yeah,
brilliant. Yeah.
Who's going to give Scully a doctorate though? Dr. Gary Schofield. There's no University of Belle-Isle, is there? That's the problem.
Well, I don't know.
Who wants to give me a doctorate?
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's Dr. Ikram Butt. We need to get.
Oh, is he a doctor?
Yeah,
he is. Yeah.
Dr. Scully from somewhere. If you're a
well
university,
connected man is Ikram. Well connected.
All of those made up universities on the internet. Send us a doctorate for Scully. We'll send him along with a hat on and stuff.
Being a doctor. Yeah, Doctor Scully.
Dr. Gary Scully.
Doctor of Psychology.
I'll have the
Doctor Vision and Awareness.
I'll have the thimble round the neck. Is that what they call them? Thimbles?
Peter's a big Salford fan.
Yeah, well, he's the one who mentioned it. Yeah, because he said very sour taste left in the mouth about the Jackson Hastings thing. And Rugby League at the minute, there's a couple of issues. Obviously, Salford the other week with alleged racist abuse, which people decided to turn on the person
that reported it,
rather than because.
And the person that reported it did never want that to happen. Yeah. As in, they don't want to be reporting that. It's their club. And so if someone within your club reports it, you should be worried about that. Not from a point of view abusing them, from a point of view that's our club. We don't want that.
I very much am the pound shop Rod Studd. Because
you've got a very high opinion of yourself, haven't you?
I am very much the charity shop Rod Studd.
That's better. That's more like it.
He pointed out the Wigan fans standing behind James Child, abusing him for going to the video referee for giving a try. Check it's a try. Like, what kind of image does that promote for us? And as someone said to me earlier, the family sport image is a complete myth. We all know it is. Oh, I've got more Bull fans having a go at me now. Yes, Suzanne, you're right. If we had lost a £1 million game, Wakefield would have gone completely bust. But we also wouldn't have had the support of everyone in the media complicit in the Bradford Bulls.
The nice thing was, though, that the RFL came to your aid and offered to buy Bellevuie because it's an iconic stadium.
It is.
And you wonder why people don't like the Bulls and think their fans are arrogant.
Hey, listen.
Oh, hold on. That's a grenade just gone over the top. Take cover.
No, listen to the Pulse these days.
Hey, listen, let me just tell you this. The way Leeds are going, and the crowds who won't be turning up there, will the RFL burn Leeds out and buy their stadium?
Did you see
I don't
Did you see the plans for the Otter redevelopment in your suite when you were having your sticky toffee pudding? Was there an outline of the Wembley of the North?
No, I didn't see that.
No. Bring back Speedway, that's what we're saying.
If I did, I didn't see it from my pint of cider, to be honest with you.
Have you seen the big Toronto thing?
You didn't see any briefcases lying around, did you?
Two lines of news from Toronto this week.
Yes.
Oleg Krasnicki's gone back to London.
All right, okay.
Yes.
And they've now got their own range of cannabis-related products.
Health products.
Yeah,
Health
which are not illegal. So I don't know why everyone's upset about them.
Yeah. Also, by the way, why is he Sam at Wigan? Is he injured? Why is he not being selected? Or is he just not being selected? Or is he injured?
Sam has been injured.
Right. Okay.
As far as Leeds aren't trying to buy him.
Well, they've probably been linked to it. Their agent probably says that they have been.
It's time to go yet. Who was that miserable sod sat next to Ellie Hanley yesterday, says Claire?
A bit harsh.
Oh, that was his missus. It's a bit harsh.
Eh? Dave says Scully's got a doctor from the Belle Isle Borstal. That's a bit harsh.
Borstal?
Yeah. Come on now. Ray's been on. Ask the lads what they think about John Wilkin running on the field, interviewing players on the TV.
Would you have liked that?
No.
If you'd have been in the
no.
frame of mind that you
It'd
are
been-
match day.
I can't say the words, but it would have been, and it begins with F and finishes with F. Don't worry about that. Totally unprofessional. Totally unprofessional.
And then to apologise for what might be said, which is obviously going to be said in
Well,
the heat
of course
of
it is.
battle.
They're going into the picture and interviewing somebody who's had an important part in the try or scored the try. Absolutely unprofessional.
While the bloke next to
totally.
him's trying to line up a goal kick.
Whoever's come up with that idea, I find it totally disrespectful to the game of rugby league.
Well, I think you only judge it if they don't do it and they acknowledge that it didn't work and don't do it again.
Do you think the players will have agreed to that, or the clubs will have agreed to that?
I think there must have been some.
Or been told.
Yeah. They might
Well,
have been told,
but they could turn around and say no, couldn't they? There's no financial incentive, for example, for them to say, look, we'll dock you £10 if you don't allow your players to be interviewed.
But do you know what, right? Because, listen,
is it a step too
right,
far?
One thing when I say when I'm doing commentary, right, is when you score a try, the next most important factor is the next set of six.
Yeah.
So you want all your players to concentrate, because how many times do we see from the kick-off where the ball is dropped on the second or third tackle? The next important factor is getting to the kick chase from there. So you don't want your players, certainly in important games of Challenge Cup, being interviewed by people from the television. No, scrapping. It needs scrapping.
In the early rounds of the FA Cup on the BBC, they go around all the grounds. They've got a camera at all the grounds and a reporter there, and people on the internet are idiots. They interview managers during the game and stuff, and you're thinking you're doing this now because you're patronising low league and non-league football teams. But there's no way if you go to Man United you're going to go, oh Ollie, your team's just conceded. What do you think about that? So it's just patronising, and it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick that isn't needed.
No, I think it's worth trying, but it didn't work. So they've tried.
Well, I never saw him tell because I was there. What was it like?
Well, the interview with Sean O'Loughlin, he was breathing out of his backside. We're a good try. We've got to work hard or something, and that was it. And he was like, well. Tell me something I don't know.
The thing for me is
that's no criticism.
But he's
concentrating on getting his breath back.
Exactly.
The next
how can they? Because the next important factor is the next set of six.
Yeah,
and he wants to see that his team have lined up properly for the kick-off.
Yeah, it's
TV producers come with ideas, right? Fair enough, because they haven't played the game or whatever. But when the interviewer is an actual player who knows what the players are going through, surely that player, who in the past has said cameras in dressing rooms are intrusive, and the Rugby Football League signing out the sport, maybe we can find on the internet, isn't it? Surely that player should say to the producer, "This isn't a very good idea for these reasons." Yeah. He could, if it was a broadcaster coming on the field
Yeah,
and interviewing, then
it worked well in
But
the
it's
cricket, didn't it? They sat it in the T20, didn't
But
they?
there's
When you
natural
used to have
breaks,
they had
isn't
a player mic'd up, but the player might be stood on the boundary.
Yeah, it's a
but they're
different
not
game,
bowling.
Mark,
So he's
exactly.
got
Natural
10
break.
seconds.
It's a total
just to say,
different
oh, yeah,
context.
everything's
It's a
all right.
total
Yeah,
different
it
context.
doesn't work. It
They were
doesn't
doing it
work.
through overs and then say he's that third man or whichever,
Yeah.
whatever position you call
Yeah.
it. It's a different total context.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You
I
know.
agree with that.
should we just ignore the people having a go at me for having a go at me?
No, I want you to read them out.
Here's Craig. I'm surprised, Rich, you're not saying we should be kicked out of the cup because we didn't pay our bills. It's not arrogance of the Bulls you hate, it's the fear that the Bulls are on the way back. Craig, at the start of the programme I said Bradford would add more to Super League at the moment in terms of crowds and whatever than Huddersfield and Salford and my team Wakefield. So actually listen to the words, or go listen to something less challenging. The programmes are out there. You know what they are. You know what channels they're on because people aren't watching them. Go watch those because those are the programmes for you.
Okay. Are you
Go do-
frightened the Bulls are coming back?
Go do a goal kicking challenge or something.
I hope the Bulls do come back.
Hasn't there been
Even though I'm no longer a
hasn't
fan.
there been many from the Bulls fans giving me a bit of a
Oh, no,
bit of a
we're
bit of
saying
a-
that.
The
Saving
whole
it.
of social
sport
media went
needs-
berserk.
Have you not seen the steam coming out of the computer? That's for you guys.
The sport needs big markets and teams in big markets, but they need those clubs to be well run. Bradford weren't well run for a long period of time, hence why they went bust 3 times.
Yeah.
They've got to be given time to start.
Can we not just move on from that?
Go stable.
Can we just move on?
Because they don't learn.
All right. Well, they're doing all right at the minute,
They
aren't
are.
they?
That's what I mean. It was a good result on Saturday, but let's not start the Bulls are back thing before they actually are back.
Well, they've
in
got to
stable.
get out of the division, and,
Yeah.
and that's not going to be easy.
No.
Of course, we know that. So we'll see how that one goes.
Does it detract from their ability to challenge for promotion to have these 2 cup runs?
Nah, I don't think so. Got to get in the 5, mate.
Is that all
Soon
that,
the
that's
5,
all that
it's wide
matters, I guess,
open.
isn't it? It's
Because
very
Toronto,
But if they play,
like we mentioned about Warrington,
But
they've
if-
got to prove they can win a big game.
but if they're playing extra games in midweek now, that
I'm not being
that
rude. I'm
becomes
not
a
being
drain.
rude. Bradford must have the biggest squad in rugby
Yeah.
league. They must have the
Yeah.
biggest squad in rugby league. They've got that many players, I'm sure, and a good load of young kids. They'll be able to cope, no doubt about that.
Of the crop of young kids that they've got, and a lot has been made of. Some of them might be moving on. I thought Rowan Milnes absolutely was outstanding. On
Yeah. What do you make of him, Ledge?
Yeah, I enjoyed him. Yeah, he organised, took control. The shared out responsibility with Jordan Lee, the ideal combination. But by the way, what's happened with him, Keys? Because I liked him as a halfback at Bradford. Is he injured?
He has been injured, hasn't he? By the way, we're talking about that later. So I want to talk. One we haven't mentioned is Hull Cass.
Yes, that was a great game, wasn't it? We were there.
Now I was there watching it, and what the hell has gone wrong at Cass? And people have pointed at injuries, right? I had a look at the squad list when I got home. Gale, he's not playing this season. You can't use Luke Gale's injury. They've had time to replace
and
him.
dispensation to
And
replace
dispensation to replace him.
As
So
they
you've
did
got to
do
draw a
with
line
Rankin.
through that.
And they
Yeah,
did do.
so
Shenton injured. Rankin didn't play, did he? Rankin didn't play.
No.
Moore's out injured, obviously a massive loss. Ollie Holmes potentially. After that, and people go Foster, but they've got enough back rowers, I think. They didn't have that many players missing. They had some big players missing, but not that many. And I just want to know what's gone wrong at Cass because I'm not sure.
But who hasn't got players missing at the moment?
No, that's what when you think injuries, and there's been times where he's had 9 players not, but 9 of his first 17 haven't been able to play, and then some people point and say, "Oh, well, he can't play, whatever." You've got to be able to deal with that, and you know what? They didn't even turn up on Friday. That game was over when Jack Logan. Did you see that? By the way, when Jack Logan he must have had a tenner on the other guy at my first try. Just going, hang on, I better dive here. I am joking, by the way. But what the hell?
What was he thinking?
I think he thought I'll slide over and he bounced up in the air, didn't he? But anyway, it was over at that moment. And I know Shenny and Moores, and they've got some big players missing, but the players that you shouldn't be losing by that many, I don't think. Because I'm going to say, I don't think Hull were very good, but they won, and they won quite easily without being very good.
They won at cancer, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
They won at cancer.
The worry for Darryl Powell, and this is the first time he's had 4 consecutive defeats in the same season at Cass, is that he's very, very big on attitude, and he can handle his team losing, but what he doesn't like is when they're not perceived to be giving their best. He was absolutely scathing of them post-match. Worse than amateurs.
Yeah.
Some were in that.
Hold on, Dave Furner's here with a tea. Dave, we'll be out in a minute.
Hold on, I'm hoping it's Sean Wayne, and I hope he's delivering a 3.5 year
Well,
contract.
hold on. If it is Sean Wayne, next we'll see you'll be lying on the floor with no teeth.
It's a bit harsh, isn't it? A bit harsh. Is it Sean Wayne?
They're throwing out the Leeds Hall of Fame.
No.
Oh, the legend.
Yeah, when Sean went, I think so. That's the deal breaker.
His hospitality will be going for a Burton anyway.
All right, Sean, have you got a plan B when you come to Leeds? Hey.
Oh dear. Oh
Who's
dear.
is that mine, is it?
The show's stopped. I'm still getting more
Thank you,
abuse.
ladies.
Oh, good. Well, it's good for interaction. All those people that are
People don't
retweeting
like it
and
when I
whatever
say-
else, they might get some tickets for
They
the
don't
back.
like it when I say don't watch.
Don't forget tickets for the bash.
Yes, like the video, share it on YouTube, subscribe to us on YouTube, like our page on Facebook. We need about 20,000 more likes on Facebook, and that's not the page on Facebook, by the way, is not just this TV program, it's the whole magazine. So don't take me just ranting, against
Okay.
the magazine.
Is it,
We'll
that's
do
the
it
beauty of pictures like Featherstone here. I've got a lean on here. What's
Well,
going
it's
on?
been cleaned.
Batley.
It's been manicured
Been
by,
cleaned.
by our grounds lady.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, it's
Beautiful. So, if we can finish off by talking
Castle.
about Cass.
Yes.
Good job of Leeds this week.
No,
Oh, yeah,
I'm not
the
so
big-
sure
yeah,
it is.
yeah,
I'm not so sure it
No,
is.
I just think there are issues more than the fact that Scully was saying there's issues in the Salford dressing room. Don't think there are at Cass, but I think there are issues at the moment in the club. The fact that Mitch Clark apparently is
Got a Wigan.
headed to Wigan.
Good
Down-
sign for
down
Wigan.
doesn't want- Dowell doesn't
player, I
want
was
to
going
go
to say,
to
a player who the head coach clearly didn't want to leave. That tells you that something is not quite right.
Interesting times at
Is
Castle.
the appointment of a director of rugby an issue?
I don't know. I don't know the inner workings of the club. I
I don't
can't
know what the
possibly
division of
comment.
responsibility is. I think
No, I'm not.
you'd need to
I'm
know
not,
that.
I'm not so sure. I don't know. That's a speculative comment, isn't it? But that performance was not a Cass performance, and I just wonder. And the reason I mention it is I said last week when Dave Furner got sacked, if Leeds Rhinos are not looking at Darryl Powell and not looking at Sean Wayne as potentially coach, then I don't think they're doing the job right.
Well, I think the debate we'll have now, because it's after 7, is more about exactly that question than they were rubbish on Saturday, because they were rubbish before Saturday.
But I would say,
So, yeah,
if
I
I'm Gary Etherington, right, and I'd be...
Where do they
it's
go
all right.
from here?
Well, can I speak as a non-Leeds fan?
Absolutely.
And I'm not... Leeds in crisis is a laugh.
That's
It's
coming
a
up as well,
joke.
by the way.
Well, it's starting now. We're getting...
Can I say something about Hull first then?
Yeah, go on.
This guy, he was really good.
Ratu.
I can't pronounce his surname.
Roland Ratu.
Ratu
No
Nalaga. Yeah, he was really
You'll
good.
have a lager.
He scored a try for the Army at Twickenham on the Saturday in front of 80,000 people and played in slightly fewer people and was really
Interesting
good.
that he was released to be allowed to do
Yes. And
might have
he
been
was.
part of his agreement.
But
He might have
but
wanted to do that.
that. Oh, I'm sure he did. I'm sure
He
he
has to, because he's still in the armed forces.
I'm
so
sure he
has to
did,
do.
and I think that the experience wouldn't have done him any harm as well. Hull would have wanted him to have
But to
that
say he's come
big
to
game experience.
Rugby
but-
League as a 27-year-old, he's doing well.
He's a player. And I think he's bringing the best out of Faramo and the other wing as well.
Doesn't it just show you that we need to trawl our net wider?
And you're allowed to do both in the Army.
Which again, just to finish off going back to Coventry, the one thing I
Well,
was
actually, I was just gonna say
going
that.
to say was virtually the majority of their side, because we were sent the details of where they come from. Their squad are local players.
Well
So
done,
if-
Hull. Well done, Coventry.
Yeah.
Just out of the top 7, 6.
Yeah, the level of points
On
on the
points
Doncaster.
difference.
But again, they've beaten a much more established club using predominantly players who come from the Midlands. That's got to be an encouragement for the
It
sport.
has.
And, what,
It has.
and I know people will now say, but Toronto. As I said the other day,
Yeah,
it's
but
very difficult to
They don't
create
play
players.
rugby league. The good thing about Toronto last weekend was that they teamed up with Ontario Rugby Union to just put on a taster day for kids. They said, come along, and this is an oval shaped ball, and we won't even bother telling you which is rugby union, which is rugby. Just come and have a bit of fun with an oval shaped ball, and they had hundreds of kids there.
If a Tareem,
Well, if in 20 years' time, when we're obviously not sitting here, or Richard's beard is down to the floor,
Richard will still be arguing with Bradford.
some of those
After
kids
they've got a
might
time
actually be
administration.
eligible to play for the Toronto first team, but you have to start somewhere, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
And this weekend at Lamport, Toronto aren't playing, they're at the Bash, there is the America's Nines. So America, Canada, Jamaica are sending Nines teams.
Yeah, and just
So
when we go on about Canada, there are
Cannabis.
more and more
cannabis.
European players now playing in the NFL.
Yeah.
Because they're actively
thought
going out.
academy, haven't
And Australia
He
players.
looks like he could tackle someone.
Valentine Holmes.
Yeah, but he looks like he could tackle someone. He looks like he's quick. Oh, he looks like he can catch it.
Let's give him a try.
Let's have a look, yeah, and get him involved in the system. Maybe that's what we need to
This
do.
is what I said the other day on Twitter about this. And he said roundabout point it doesn't necessarily work, but Sheffield Steelers were formed in 1991, ice hockey team in Sheffield. Last year, a lad called Liam Kirk, 19-year-old, was drafted by one of the teams in the NHL, the biggest ice hockey league in the world. That would never have happened 20 years ago without that team being formed. You can't just randomly have people turn up. If Scully had been born in Northampton when he was, would he have
like
been
Sam Tompkins?
Yeah.
Oh no, that was Milton Keynes.
Would he have become? Well, if Scully had been born in Milton Keynes, if he existed at that point, would he have become Gary Schofield? We don't know, do we? The chances are the answer is probably no. So
Because he wouldn't have, purely because not he wouldn't have been the athlete that we needed, but he wouldn't have been exposed to the sport.
Exactly. So we need to expose people to the sport. Coventry are doing that. Toronto in a different way, but Coventry have had a slight head start, but they're doing it right. This is what we want.
You can read about Coventry and where they need to go to the next level and how they intend to do it in the new issue of 4020 magazine.
Out this Friday.
Out by Friday.
With Scott Taylor in the front.
King Kong.
Has Scott Taylor committed a crime anyway? He's starting to look a bit like you.
It's a big beard, isn't it? Yeah.
He's gone a bit.
he's
gone a bit, rogue. His hair's all over the shop. He's got a massive beard. I thought, hang on, he must owe something.
He looks like Robinson Crusoe, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks like he's been. He's on Castaway. He's starring in Castaway 2. He's replacing Tom
In
Hanks.
fairness, I'm just lazy. He's not lazy because he's an international rugby league megastar, and I'm just some gunk behind a thing. If you like our mug, by the way, we've been sent it by tacklecount.com. He sent us a message the other week. Can I be cheeky and send you a free mug for a plug? I said, yeah. Because we've been hanging around with Scully a long time now, and if you want to send us anything free,
put one with Scully's name on and send that, and that'll make you very popular.
Anything you want to send us for free, that's good.
And then we'll nick his mug and see how he likes it.
Free's good.
Right.
Yes.
Order. Right. Bradford. Championship Bradford beat Leeds on Saturday in front of 1 million people and 10,000 whatever at Bradford. Great atmosphere, looked good on the telly, came across well. It was a bit of an old-fashioned throwback, a bit of a muddy field.
It was brilliant. Everything about
so what did we
was
make
brilliant.
of it?
Well, first of all, whatever we're going to say about Leeds, and obviously I'll let my learned gentleman here lead on all of the faults of Leeds. Let nobody be under the illusion that we are not here just to bag Leeds. We're here to praise Bradford.
We got come on, you've got to do something about Leeds. And he went, no, Saturday was about Bradford Bulls.
Yes.
Bradford Bulls won.
Yes.
Great day for them.
And I think the way in which Bradford played, the spirit of their pack in particular, emphasised exactly what is wrong with Leeds at the moment. But I think if we talk about Leeds, let's not forget Bradford were deserving winners. They had the best players on the field. They had a desire about them that their opponents didn't have. So whatever we're now going to say should not detract from the fact that Bradford were brilliant.
They were brilliant. What did you make?
So that being said,
they were absolutely sensational, and from 1 to 17, the right balance, the forwards got ripped in, creativity from the half-backs and the outside backs, and took the opportunities when they came along from there, and if Liam Sutcliffe's goal had gone over, and I would have thought if they got the golden boot,
Jordan Lilly would have kicked.
Leeds had that sort of.
The man discarded by Leeds right now, Jordan Lilly.
Or maybe not.
Leeds had that so-called, momentum from there. So maybe, but anyway, it would have been a travesty if the Bulls had lost. And for 80 minutes, Bradford Bulls fully deserved that victory. And we all know now, many people have sent me messages. I've spoken to many people, even people at Warrington yesterday, i.e. ex-players of other clubs. And
well, the Pearls come out and called Leeds soft.
Yeah, Mark, you mentioned it. I think it's 2 or 3 years ago now regarding recruitment, right? And let me just tell you this: what I know by being a Leeds player, right? Because at this moment in time, when I look at that Leeds squad, when you want to be a Leeds player and you want to be challenging for them trophies, and you want to be challenging in for semi-finals and getting into finals and winning trophies. When you look at the guard, what's left from 15, and obviously Maguire and Burrow went in 17. And when you look at the Sinfields and the Lula-Wise and the Peacocks and the Jamie Jones and Ablett, I know they're still there.
The Reinholds.
And the Reinholds and the Jolmans, you know, they were performing, and like back in my day, and the way I judge myself as a player, always judge myself from a consistent point of view, 9 out of 10. And when we talk about recruitment, and let me just say this as well before I go into this squad here now, right? What Leeds have got. 2 years ago, Bradford Bulls were relegated, deducted 12 points from the Championship. 2 years ago, Leeds Rhinos were the grand final winners. Move that on 2 years ago to last Saturday. Which is the club going forward? That's one question. That's one question I'll ask. But then now, that's one question I will ask, right? And so now, when I talk about players playing for this great club and keeping Leeds where Leeds should be, right? And all this talk, and I said 6 weeks ago, if we don't start smelling the coffee, you know, this is going to become an embarrassing season, and it is becoming an embarrassing season now because the season's finished. Leeds in a relegation fight. There's no, they're not going to get anywhere near the 5. Everybody's saying to me, Scully, where's the next win coming from? To be honest with you, I can't answer that. This week we play Cass. All right, Cass are out of sorts, but can you say we're going to beat Cass? No, you can't. The Magic Weekend then we play London. London will come with freedom. London will come with expression. At Anfield, they're enjoying themselves, so you can't guarantee
at
that.
Anfield, where everyone in the ground,
Correct.
barring Leeds, will want London to win.
Correct.
Absolutely.
They will be roared on.
They'll all be supporting London, and so then you go into the sides of Wakefield and St Helens and Wigan and Warrington. Anyway, that's further down the line. But let me just go into this Leeds squad here now, and when I just mention being consistent in performance, right? And when I look at this Leeds squad from the season that has been brought together. Lower here, points, and I'm going to go through every individual I think so far this season what they deserve. And for me, this is why Leeds are in a total mess, because there's no consistent high quality performance. Lower here, 4. Briscoe, 4. Harry Newman, 5. He's not been doing bad. Conrad Hill, he gets a 7. He gets a 7.
Although that was his poorest game on Saturday.
Well, but overall, Phil, he's not been bad. Ash Hanley, he gets a 6. Sutcliffe gets a 4. McLennan, you can't put him in there because he's not played long enough. This guy, who I can't pronounce his name, but the big man from there, what I've heard about the last 3 games, realistically, he didn't impress me one little bit, so he gets a 4. Brad Dwyer gets a 5. Petteru, he gets a 3.
Only 5 for Dwyer.
Cameron Smith gets a 4. Callum Watkins, Callum gets a 3. Trent Mirren, 4. Cuthbertson, who was the best forward for Leeds on Saturday. Why he got brought off, I don't know, because he was ripping the Bulls apart. Cuthbertson gets a 6. Parcell gets a 5. Alexki gets a 5. Wellington Albert 3. Right, that tells you from a consistent point of view, and the quality of players what we have got representing our great club cannot do it week in and week out. The league table doesn't tell lies while we're in the league position, and they played the way they did against the Bradford Bulls on Saturday, not because the Bradford Bulls played better than what Leeds did, and they did that, but quite clearly these guys are not good enough week in and week out to play at a consistent high level.
So the only guy who enhanced his reputation then was Richie Miley.
Well, he got dropped, didn't he?
But you could see what they were missing. I think the issue is not even about that. I saw something on Saturday that was the exact polar opposites of the two teams that were playing. Brought into absolute stark relief, because I think we've seen a little bit of it in Leeds games so far this year, that when they've come up against sides that have a real desire, particularly up front, they haven't been able to handle them, especially close to their own line. What I saw on Saturday was a team that knew exactly what they were doing and had a game plan and were going to carry out no matter what, and a team that were a collection of individuals, some of whom are quite good and some of whom at the moment are not playing particularly well. I might disagree with some of those ratings, but overall Leeds didn't have a problem solver on the park. They had 13 people who wanted to do it all themselves. It's almost as if they have lost belief in each other, not just their own self-confidence, but they don't trust the bloke that's standing next to them to either make a tackle or be on the end of a break. They feel the only thing they can do is they'll do it themselves. Now, that leads into the next issue, which I think is really interesting. How the hell do you solve that? And who do you bring in to the dressing room that can say to these players, look, irrespective of your individual talents or otherwise, the first thing we've got to do is have you playing as though you actually know each other, and all the things that you hear about pre-season. We're going on bonding sessions, and we're going to go through adversity together, so we know what it's like come the season. Looks as though they don't know each other. They haven't really been introduced.
Right, Phil. I'll just stop you there on that.
So how do you change that?
Right, Phil. Just on that point there, then. What has been happening in pre-season?
Well, I'm not privy to.
Well, none of us are
to
privy
the
to
reasons why David Furner was relieved of his job.
And we were all surprised as anybody.
Yeah, we were sitting here last week saying, if it gets difficult over the next 3 weeks, he might be in trouble. I don't think any of us foresaw.
I
don't think as we left the studio last week, we didn't know that.
We didn't.
The car that was on the parade outside was him handing his keys back.
Yeah, exactly.
But that says to me that some of that work that should have been going on, clearly hasn't been happening. Now, where you lay that blame, we don't know because we're not involved behind the scenes. But clearly the management at Leeds looked at what had happened in the early part of the season and said, whatever has gone on today is not bringing these guys together.
Right, Phil. The second question then.
So I don't know who to blame, but it's no coincidence that the coach isn't there anymore.
Right. Hold on, Matt, before you come in, Phil, the second one was, I think is very important then. After 6 or 7 games, we get then a statement Kevin Sinfield says, as the club has been saying all along, we're in transition.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah, we're in transition. David Furner and the team need time. Why have we sacked him after 14 games?
I suspect that they have continually looked at a downward spiral of performance.
Yeah, and I reckon as well senior players have gone into the hierarchy.
And I think they've looked at relationships, be they between the backroom staff and or the playing staff, be that the young kids or the senior kids, the guys who don't get selected, who quite rightly should be annoyed and upset, and that'll be the same in every club. There'll be people knocking on Justin Holbrook's door saying that they deserve a chance.
But how many of those players that aren't getting selected at Leeds have been basically told they're not going to get selected? And that comes down, you say all the time about man management.
Yes.
Can I just make an observation?
Yes,
right?
absolutely,
I thought
100%.
The sacking last week shocked us all. Yeah. Right? What shocked me more, and this is the honest truth, is the interview that Kevin Sinfield did after the sacking, because I thought it made him look really poor. He looked like a little boy who's doing a man's job, and he was like, he actually said, he went on record and said, I hope this decision gives the players a kick up the backside. And I'm thinking, what? So you sacked the coach to give the players a kick up the backside? Should that not have been the first thing? Give them a kick up the backside. Get some of them dropped. Get some of them outed in public, like he's outed some of the younger players that clearly aren't part of his plans. I think that squad is breaking up because of the way that it's been handled. And I think that it's interesting that Gary Hetherington has come out yesterday or today, whenever it is, making another statement about this club's not in crap, blah, 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 supporting Kevin Sinfield. I just wonder at the moment who's more important to Leeds going forward, Gary Hetherington or Kevin Sinfield, because I get the feeling that both of them cannot continue long term, because I thought Kevin looked shocking when his statement was poor. It was really poor, right? I can imagine it's been a tough decision.
I'm not defending
He's in a big man's world now.
Well, I think that now he is under, for the first time ever, from the people that adore him, they're questioning him.
Well, the question is, right, and I've questioned you for years, and I think now you've got to say their recruitment has been rubbish for a long time. You can't say it. The players are there. They are there. The players are there. All the other teams have improved. Leeds have gone backwards, and it's all right saying you can't replace a Sinfield. No, you can't. But you can go out and sign a Blake Austin or whoever, or a Sean O'Loughlin.
The players that they've got and the
Phil, they've been in the bottom two. They've been in the bottom four the last 3 years.
The issue that they've got is that there is an attitude thing and not a talent thing.
Hold on. So Brian McDermott, Gary Hetherington, Kevin Sinfield, David Furner, they're all in charge of that club. Why is that not being dug out before now? I'm not doing that.
No, I think that is over the last 2 or 3 years. That the things that got them to where they were are not happening at the moment.
Then the blame comes down is why have those players not been replaced? And I know what you're saying, you can't replace like
No, I think over time
you can go buy a nasty prop to replace Jamie Peacock that'll do you 30, 40 whatever. You can get players like that.
Which
Mike Cooper does that at Warrington. You could have gone and got Mike Cooper.
To be fair, and it's either an explanation or it's an excuse, whichever you want. A lot of people on Twitter think it's an excuse, but they bought Keith Galloway, who if he hadn't had two snapped Achilles tendons would have been that horrible, ugly prop.
Why have they let Garbutt go then?
For whatever reason,
I'm coming back to my opinion.
But
As a
I
recruitment,
think
I've said this for the last 4 years now.
I think recruitment is less of an issue than seeing a group of players out there who, man for man, would have been better than their opponents when you saw the team listed on Saturday.
I didn't think that
was attitude.
No, yeah, but that
people have said, we need to drop Richie Myler. They dropped Richie Myler. They gave Callum McClellan
we said on this show. We said on this show, right? Yeah, but McClellan now will be. Oh, he played when we lost in the cup, so he's without it being doing anything wrong.
He was all right in the first half. He was all right.
He's almost a scapegoat by default.
They've given he's not a scapegoat at all. They're giving some of the kids a chance.
No, they're not. They're 15 rounds into Super League. How many games has he played in Super League?
No, they give some of their kids. Newman has played more than had been anticipated.
Newman has played because Callum Watkins has been rubbish.
No, they both played.
Right, I'm going to move on, right?
But
I'm going back to my initial point, right? Both, Hetherington, in my opinion, has done all the recruitment for however long. Yeah. And he's got away with it because he had a golden generation of players that they added to, like they brought Peacock in, whatever, and they added some quality around it, and they were dominant, they were brilliant.
And they used that system really well.
Players have gone, and I'll go back, I have no doubt Brian McDermott was made Leeds coach because they thought we're going to have a bit of a rocky period here because these players are going, and somehow they managed to keep going, and they kept going, and they kept winning, and in 2015 they achieved everything, and then from then they won. You see what you want. Leeds won the grand final against CAF by default. The best team in the competition by a million miles.
They deserved to be in that final. You can talk
it was
about
the worst
the 80 minutes.
It was the worst
Super League
in history.
You have to have two teams in the final.
But it papered over so many cracks, Phil. And people go, everything's all right. It's not all right.
Yeah.
It's not all right.
I think you're missing the point.
No, my point is, right, who are they getting rid of? Are they getting rid of Hetherington or Sinfield? Because Hetherington's doing the recruitment, as we're led to believe, and we're led to believe he's still doing the recruitment, which means Kevin Sinfield, as much as I can criticise the way he's come across, he's gonna get hung because of Hetherington's mistakes. So when does Kevin go to Paul Caddick, get rid of him because he's getting in my way. And it's, you know what it is at the minute? Paul Caddick, right, is a rich dad writing off cheques to cover up his son's losses. Oh, I'll pay for that then.
I don't think he is now.
Oh, you've crashed the car. You've crashed your car. I'll buy you a new one. Don't worry about it. They've got rid of McDermott to change the ethos of the club. A year later, they're in a worse position. So was that the wrong decision? They brought in.
Yes,
they brought in Fern.
No, it was the
Sinfield. I brought him in because of this, and this. They sack him 14 games in. Honestly, that's the biggest thing. Until that's sorted out, it's not going to.
That's where I think the debate needs to be about how do you sort it out.
I need to bring up a point that's been made on social media, and I'll come to that in a moment just because it's important that we clear something up. But what I do want to say is, and it's interesting, because everything in life, in sport, in the world, is full of hypocrisy. I realised this last week. Everyone's a hypocrite.
Except the four of us.
Except those four. We never change our minds on anything. Excuse me. Go back to an instant in which Zach Hardacre was involved and Elliot Minchella was involved when both were at the Leeds Rhinos. Yeah. And look at how both those men were treated. Yeah. Because one was a man of steel and one was a young player making his way in the sport. Mm. If he had stayed at Leeds, because he's been one of Bradford's better performers this year, would Leeds be a better club if Elliot Minchella had been? Well, and that's just the hypocrisy of sport in throwing people on the scrap heap because they do something wrong. And I'm not saying, but there you go. And Zach Hardacre has been given another million chances since then. Points on Twitter. Nick, bringing back players to recreate the glory years never works. Look at Leeds United post Revy. The Rhinos need a Howard Wilkinson to take them forward and change the culture.
See, I think that's the debate.
Well, Simeon makes the same point. Is it true Leeds are interested in Danny Maguire from the backroom staff? Isn't that the same thing? And on the point of Elliot Minchella, because he's got none of the headlines this week, because it's easy to go for Jordan Lilly. And on Jordan Lilly, here's Ian, who in their right mind would say to Jordan Lilly, we don't want you next season inside of arrogance or stupidity. Well, for a start, there's a reason why Jordan Lilly's at Bradford and not at another club. But Phil Kaplan.
Again, you believe who you want to believe. We have no reason to doubt that stories that say Leeds are interested in Danny Maguire are in any way untrue. The club are denying that. The issue of the salary cap raises its head as well, that Leeds could not afford to bring Danny Maguire in at this stage of the season. That very few clubs will be going out and signing a major player who are up to the salary cap. Now, if they
got someone else.
Well, nobody wants any of their players at the moment.
I think you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. I think Leeds' problem is everyone knows they're up against it and no one's going to help them out until they offer someone out on the cheap.
The official word from Leeds is that they have not approached Ali Maguire. The official word from Leeds on Jordan Lilly is that negotiations do not start with Jordan Lilly about whether they wish to take him back next year or not until the 1st of August. And that is written in a contract that Jordan Lilly has signed, that he is already a Leeds player for next year.
So why is he telling everyone he ain't got a deal for next season?
That I don't know.
Or his representatives.
Well, no, he's come out and done it. He's come out and being told he's not wanted.
The official, I'm saying, I
but
don't
then
know.
Again, we know other players at Leeds have been told they're not wanted at Leeds.
The
we know
official
that for a
line
fact.
from Leeds is that Jordan Lilly has a contract with an agreed wage in it for next year, and that contract is to be discussed, written into the contract before the 1st of August this year. Those discussions have not yet taken place, according to the club. And I think it's also safe to say that at the moment, Bradford haven't said that they want to exercise another year on Jordan Lilly. So it's a great headline.
I say as well.
But I'm not sure, again, this is the issue that is at the heart. I think, again, the talk of Howard Wilkinson coming in at Leeds is exactly the conversation that I think is the most interesting at the moment.
Yeah, but what we heard from Howard Wilkinson when he came in, and this is what I remember Bill Fotherby doing his interviews, was just passed away, rest his soul, saying he said to Wilkinson, "Who do you want? I'll go get you. Tell me who you want, and I'll go get him." Leeds can't do that.
No,
Leeds can't do that.
No,
and if they do, who's he going to? Is he going to Warrington, or is he going to Sinfield?
The football analogy. To use Leeds United, it's almost as if David Furner was Brian Clough when he came in, and he looked at what had gone before and said, "I don't want anything to do with any past glories. So anybody who's been involved in the previous staff, any of the players, I'm going to do it." And I think the problem he had was that he tried to do too much too quickly to change things into his way.
Hold on, 1 second there.
Right. So
Kevin Sinfield did a complete study of the backroom staff, an overhaul.
Yeah.
It was he who made the decision to bring in Laws.
Yes.
Then Laws walked out.
But what I'm
it
saying
was him who
is
made the decision to change the strength and condition and all that. So you
But
can't blame that on Dave Furner.
No,
that's Kevin Sinfield.
What Furner apparently did was so wanted to do it his way, in the same that Clough did, that whatever structures were in place when he arrived, he wanted to dismantle that too quickly. So for whatever reason, Kevin Sinfield got that wrong. He misjudged David Furner. What he can absolutely be 100%
Did he, or did the players just sulk because
no,
getting their own way?
I think maybe David Furner just is a really, really good assistant coach, and there are some people in life who are. So that is a major error, because if you look back at the press conferences that Kevin Sinfield gave when he unveiled David Furner, he knew the culture, he knew the place, he was the man that was going to pull it round. Within 15 games, he's not the man. So there's a misjudgment there somewhere. So the question then becomes, rather than go back over too much of that and say who is at fault in that, where do they go from here? And I think in everything there's a historical precedent, which doesn't necessarily give you the answer, but it's something you go back to. Gary will remember this. In 1985, Leeds' coach up to March of that year was Maurice Bamford. Maurice did such a good job that he was poached by Great Britain. And for the last 3 months of the 1985 season, Leeds got a bloke called Malcolm Clift from Canterbury, who was an Aussie who just totally upset the place. Players couldn't understand him.
We must buy Malcolm a pint sometime.
Didn't really know what. So he only lasted the same as David Furner, 3 months, and he was gone. Leeds then had a massive decision to make, because they were on a downward spiral at the time. They'd been the dominant team in the late 60s, most of the 70s, but by the time we'd got to the mid-80s, they were waning. So they'd had this period into the mid-80s where they tried buying 100 Aussies and it hadn't worked. They tried an Aussie coach for a short period, it hadn't worked. The next appointment they had to make in the summer of 1985 was going to see them through the next period of rebuilding, which they're in at the moment, and to restore confidence. And the Leeds board at that time made the worst decision they could possibly have made. Not because he was the worst coach, but because he was the worst coach for Leeds at that time. And they went and got Peter Fox. And although Peter Fox is one of the greatest of his generation, he was completely the wrong man for Leeds. For 2 years, they stumbled about to the point where, at the end of the 1987 season, 86, 87, they avoided relegation on points difference. And if Oldham had won on the last day of the season, Leeds would have got relegated. That summer was when they went out and broke the transfer record twice in 3 weeks, getting Gary Schofield, Lee Crooks, and brought Malcolm Reilly in, who for 14 months was exactly the right coach. Got the best out of everybody, pruned the squad, set whatever culture means. Leeds are in a position where they cannot afford to now go and get a Peter Fox. They need to jump that and go and get a Malcolm Reilly. So the question I find the most interesting at the moment, who is out there that they can go and get?
It's interesting. Timing is everything in everything, isn't it? In life, in work and whatever. And Matt's one who's pointed his name out on Twitter, and a few others have pointed the name out. It's very interesting that on today's 5 Live Rugby League podcast, their ultra special guest is a man who's kept quiet since October. It's Sean Wayne. I don't want to give you the downloads, but you can go listen if you want. I'm not listening to it. I don't need to know what he says. It's very interesting that at this point in time,
he's thrown his hat in the ring.
With one of the biggest jobs in world rugby, as I called it on TalkSport 2 last week, it is one of the biggest jobs in world rugby. The coaching job at Leeds Rhinos is open, and there's Sean Wayne showing a bit of leg.
I could do a job.
And Gary Hedrington.
I could make a difference.
Well, can I?
Who would you have, Gary?
Sean Wayne, no doubt about it. But a couple of things here as well. If Sean Wayne's going to come to Leeds, because I play with Sean at Leeds, great player, tough as a come, and plenty to play to. We all know what he's done at Wigan there. But I would imagine Sean, if he's going to come to Leeds, he will be saying to Hetherington and Sinfield, "It's my way. It's my way. I don't want any interference from you." And as you mentioned there, if I want A, B, C, and D, I want you to go get it. You make it happen, because Wayne will bring the good times back. I know the Leeds fans, loads of Leeds fans. So listen, Wayne will sort this out. They need to give him a 3.5-year deal as from tomorrow. Go get him tomorrow. But now, 2 things here, which is unprecedented for Leeds, and I point it out to a few people. When they do appoint a new coach, and I'm hoping it's Sean Wayne, on a 3.5-year deal, that will be Leeds' 6th coach in less than 12 months. McDermott, Sinfield and Laws, whoever will do the coaching, but they're both there. Ferner, Richie Agar now into them, and then the new coach who's coming, which I said, hopefully it's going to be Sean. So 6 coaches in less than 12 months. And secondly, when we talk about this battle, as maybe what's going on with Kevin and Gary, who's the main boss, there's only one person to sort it out. And he hasn't become one of the most successful businessmen in the country with being a fool. It will be Mr. Carrick who will sort this out, because I saw Mr. Carrick at the end of the game, and he was talking there with Gary and what have you, and literally he was absolutely steaming. Mr. Carrick, as I've just mentioned, hasn't become one of the most successful business people in this country without making ruthless calls. And I would imagine Mr. Carrick may say to Mr. Hetherington and Mr. Sinfield, have a meeting with them too, and say to them, decide what your roles are, decide who does A and B, and I don't want any interference. And if I find out, I will decide what goes on. Sort it out, and I'll sort it out. And to finish on that, as you mentioned with the coach, Sean Wayne, 3.5-year deal, and he will bring back the good time back to Leeds.
So going back to what you were saying about division of labour in those 2 roles, I think if you get the coaching role right, and the coach is somebody as dominant as the kind of person they need at the moment, those 2 roles do get taken care of. Because actually, you wouldn't take that job if you were Sean Wayne or another, whoever might be in the frame for it, unless you got carte blanche to do what you wanted. So I think the roles of Hetherington and Sinfield change by the coach that you get. And that's why it's such an important appointment. I still maintain that the majority of those players on the field at the moment are significantly better than they're playing, and that somebody coming in who could galvanise them as a team rather than a collection of individuals who are all doing their own thing, might even have their own agendas, some of whom might be annoyed that they're not getting a contract, some of whom don't know whether they are, some of whom, you know, are playing with a point to prove. Whatever, it needs someone talking to them to get them working together. Now, if that coach is a huge personality, then it overrides Sinfield and Hetherington.
Do you think Kevin will look back at his time in charge already and think, I've made a lot of mistakes?
I hope so, because I think that's how you learn as a player. I think that's how you learn in life. I don't think you learn anything if you're continually successful. I think the only way you ever become better and understand. Let's not forget, he's got a master's in business sport administration, so he knows the theory. But the theory and the practice.
Hold on. As someone said the other week, right?
No.
Great, there's about 10,000 kids who've got them.
Yeah.
You didn't
No,
ring
there
up and say, oh, by the way, I want to run Leeds Rhinos.
No, there aren't.
Yeah. I tell you what, you
There
can get a
aren't.
job working on the burger stand, and when you've done that and
No,
swept the stand, we might
it's-
think about
no,
giving you a job in the office.
This is a master's degree.
Oh,
This
Phil,
isn't
do me a
your
favour.
11 plus or your SATs.
Oh,
but he
God's sake.
is trying to put into practice theory, and the only way you know if theory works is if it goes
What
wrong.
what do they say about people like that have made millions in business, mega rich football owners? They go to football and they go, oh, what? This is not what business. This is madness. So he's got a master's degree.
No, that's
Jamie
it.
Peacock,
I'm
everyone
just-
tells me
he's
one of the
got
best
one as
players
well.
in the
He's got a
business.
master's
Well, he
degree.
cocked it up at Hull KR,
Right.
didn't he? And he
So-
had a free rein.
So that's what I'm
And
saying.
your man here, I think-
I'm saying,
I
I
think-
hope
I
he's
think-
making mistakes.
I think you're stood there, Phil, with your fingers in
I
your
know.
ears, going, "Oh no, this
I've
is
got to-
happening. None of this is happening.
say
It's
that.
happening.
It is happening.
You're making a right mess of
Why,
it. You know
It's
that.
how they get out of it. That's the.
How are
for
they
me.
going to get out with him?
Well, I think that's why this coaching appointment, which needs to happen.
Who do
soon.
you want as a coach?
If Kevin Sinfield, by the way, doesn't want to be perceived to the outside world as part of the coaching staff, he shouldn't be wearing a tracksuit on the
No,
Well,
next to each
look,
day going
terrible.
There's plenty of people that wear tracksuits.
But he's
Gary
either a director of rugby. or
Gary
a
doesn't,
coach.
Phil. Gary doesn't.
No.
Right, who do you want as Leeds coach?
It's a really good question because I think you've got to temper that as well with who might be available.
No. Who do you want as coach?
The more I think about it, and it's going to probably set Richard's laptop on fire, is I think this is the perfect time for Darryl Powell.
Well, I said last week, I agree with you. I think
But
it's him
also,
it's him all winning.
not just Darryl Powell, but I think Darryl Powell bringing with him Ryan Sheridan, because I think there are a number of things. The first thing is Darryl's great strengths as a coach are improving people, and I am still convinced that at least half to 3/4 of the people that he would be working with at Leeds were people he could improve. You would see an immediate return to a spirit and a collective under Darryl. I think Darryl also works incredibly well with players who are just coming through. I think that was the strength of the Sinfield, Maguire, Burrow generation. It was Darryl that brought those players through. It needed Tony Smith to finish them off because Darryl was relatively inexperienced at the time. But Darryl has a great track record of developing an emerging talent. So I think again that's where the 3 years comes in. I think
Sean Wayne's not bad at that.
But
I think the other thing about Darryl is that I don't know whether Darryl is now going to win anything at Castleford. I think we spoke earlier in the programme about where Castleford are at the moment, and if they're selling people like Mitch Clark and Darryl doesn't want them to, I just don't know whether
Salary cap sport, you can't keep
No,
everyone.
no, but
if Mitch Clark's getting paid 100 grand at Wigan,
Yeah.
if Wigan feel he's worth
Fine.
it and Cass can't afford it, then it's business of
but
economics.
I think if you're a club that is not a selling club and the coach wants to keep a young player who he can build his pack round for the next 5 years, you allow him to keep that player.
Maybe they've already
But
committed too much money to other players.
One thing Darryl needs to do is he needs to prove to himself, not anybody else, that he is a coach that can win a
He's
major
not going to win
trophy.
anything at Leeds in the near future.
No, but I think it gives him the stage. There's
Right.
no excuses. If
Here's
he
a
doesn't.
question, and I asked you this
So,
the other week. Here's
you
the
asked me
question.
who
No,
I
I'm asking you the
think
question. What are Leeds, and this is what I said about Ferner, they've got to make a decision with Dave Ferner. Are they in it for the long haul, and they're
Yeah.
going to give him 3 years to turn that squad around and judge him in 3 years' time? Can Leeds wait that long? Or do they need a Sean Wayne to come in now, rip a few heads off in the dressing room, kick a few up the
Well, I
backside
think
as
Darryl
Kevin
can do that.
Sinfield?
I think Darryl can do enough in the
Well,
short
can he?
term.
Because he's not doing it at Castleford now
No,
because
I-
his players are not responding. If he is, so
I just think
so.
he
What's
can.
the plan? Are they in it for the long haul?
Yes, this is what I'm saying.
Can
about
they? So
are
you're
you-
telling me Leeds can put up with being in the bottom half of the table for the next 2 years, which is probably what would have to happen.
They might have to because it's happened before, and it's exactly what should.
But
happen.
is that going to be acceptable for
Yes,
the man at the top?
if they can see progression. At the moment, it's not acceptable because there is no progression. But I think that if they were to bring Darryl into that environment, that he has the tools for the long term. He has the short term ability to get them out of the predicament they're in. He has the long term tools to bring on some of the talent they've already got.
Yeah.
So yes, but I also think that, and Gary will tell you this better than anybody, one of the things Leeds fans want is entertainment.
Absolutely.
and the style of play that win or lose, and obviously winning when you're at the bottom is far more important. It's also about that philosophy of how you play. And if you're opening a new facility on Thursday, which will accommodate 22,500 people in Luxor, and you've only got 10,000 there because the style of rugby that you're playing is so poor, one of the things you need to address is what Darryl can bring to that team, and it will be entertainment.
Right. Well, Leeds here in their off contract, not yet determined list. They've got no one off contract. Is that right? So the squad, you've got the squad. That's your squad. James Donaldson on peanuts. Brett Ferris would imagine will be on a decent salary. There might be a bit of wiggle room if you let Brett go. That's the squad he's got. They cannot, even if you say, right, we can get another 20%, that might take you to middle of the table rather than the top. There's still no room there to move. No, but I think that the one thing that is, you saw it with, another try from Harry Newman. He does make some mistakes at the moment because he's naive. But he's going to be a good player.
You can see that. And I said at the start of the season that he would play more games than he didn't. I think Callum McClelland has been given a chance this week. I think the only really good thing to come out of that performance.
Why was Myler dropped?
Well, because the week before at Salford he was poor, and Richard Agar came in and picked on form. So I think there is something to work with there. Yes, obviously they're still in the market for, and I don't think it's any secret, they're trying to get George Burgess for next year.
Right.
So there is still going to be.
So how are they going to pay for him then?
Well, I think they.
Would one of their current marquee players disappear?
Well, I think they're looking to get more than the people who might be out of contract out of the club. I think there is a plan to sign players who are named players, and there is a reliance on some of the kids coming through who, Aletsky again, who's playing like 14 of the 15 games this season. I think he's got enough potential for, if the right coach is there, to say you've got something to work with. You may not go from being one of the worst teams in Super League over 3 of the last 4 years to winning it the year after, but you can progress this club. You can play the right brand of rugby with the resource that is currently there that we'll try and enhance.
Can I rewind that? Surely JJB and Ablett are out of contract.
He's down there on this.
Oh, they're on the not being offered. So they're going to go. So that would free.
So they will have
Brad Dwyer on the.
They've either been offered or we don't know what their status is.
So he might have been offered something but hasn't yet accepted.
I'm just looking at it. I think there's more pain. I agree. I think Wayne or Powell, you've got to go. I just don't see anything getting better while the hierarchy is in.
But I think that's why now the coaching appointment is so important, because in some ways that determines how the hierarchy behaves.
One thing for sure though, they can't go Australian. Nowhere.
I would say, once bitten, twice shy. They shouldn't be looking at Australia. The only two people I think that are available at the moment, if you were to, because I think they need to make the appointment now. They can't wait till the end of the season.
They've got to get it. They've got to get it as soon as possible.
I think Shane Flanagan is damaged goods, who nobody should go. In fact, the RFL should come out and say, look, if we're not prepared to allow Ben Barber or Israel Folau to play, he's banned in Australia.
So why is he not banned here then?
We should just be saying, the RFL should be saying we won't support his work permit. If you think of bringing him over, we're not going to support him. So that would rule him out. I think Jason Demetriou has been named as somebody who wants to come back. But I just don't think he's what Leeds need at the moment.
Not got enough experience as a head coach.
Well, he's been an assistant under some of the best coaches in the sport, and he may well be.
So's Ferner, hasn't
he? Yeah.
He was a failed head coach as well, which Demetriou hasn't been.
Yet.
I think I'm more angry about it than you, and I don't even like Leeds.
I know people want this.
I don't feel quite angry about it.
I am to the point now of being really intrigued about where they go, because I don't think any of us could see.
I just watched that interview last week and thought, you're in trouble here.
I don't think any of us saw Ferner happening. I think we thought Gary thought the Gracie to get up to the end of this season. We thought next 3 games.
I'm pretty sure I said if they lost to Bradford, he'd be in trouble. So
I don't think we thought before they even played Bradford, he wouldn't be here. I think the dynamics changed.
Well, last week I said 3 games, the Bradford game. Which we anticipated.
But you also said you'd be surprised if they didn't get the year.
Exactly. This is what I'm going to say. Because what I'm going to say, fellas, and I said it with Adrian Lamb, but obviously that's all changed now. But for David Ferner and Lamb, it's like a honeymoon period season for him. And what I did say was, if Ferner's in the same position this time next year, then I would imagine he will get the sack. But it came as a total surprise. So
And it's very, very on Leeds-like.
Oh, very
as well.
on Leeds.
So
Totally. Yeah. But so
Who was
what?
that message from on your phone
Yeah.
then? That's an interesting message.
I know,
Sorry for reading it,
That's
it didn't
all right.
pop up.
But who was it from?
I don't know.
David Ferner. you don't know anything, and when I get back to Australia, I'll tell everything. Everybody
whatever the comment was, I can't verify that.
I'll tell every. I'll tell.
you can't, but it's an
my
interesting
phone's
comment.
going as well.
I
I'll be telling everybody what happened. But what he's telling me here is that senior players have gone to whoever, they've gone to Gary Everton or they've gone to Kevin Sinford and they said, and do you know what, I wish Alf Davis at the board would listen to me with Doug Lawton, I'll tell you. But the senior players, they have gone to the hierarchy and said, unfortunately, this is not working, and we can't play for him, and that's why he's got the bullet. Simple as that.
Unfortunately for Scully, they didn't see the potential in having an MA in the
100 to 1 Scully was in the.
Yeah, but as I said on Twitter, they rang us up for a reference and he went out to 250 to 1.
I just want to bring up, I know
That's a bit harsh.
It's great to be in the betting.
It's a bit harsh.
I know people are.
You know, if you'd have put 50 quid on Scully, you'd have gone to about 5 to 1.
I know.
That'd have been.
That was
what?
If you'd have put 50 quid on, you'd have gone to about 5 to 1. You know, you would have done.
It would have been brilliant.
I know people are sick of us talking.
We should have.
Are people
We should
sick
have
of us
crashed
talking
the
about
market.
Leeds?
Yeah, like I was going to mention a name and I decided not to.
Are people sick of us talking about Leeds?
Well,
Because
I'm not being rude.
because if
No,
they
no.
genuinely think that there's a bigger news story than this in the sport, they're fooling us.
Well, I'm upset
It's
with them
not.
anyway, so I don't care anymore. I just want to, because I'm trying to find a better.
Can you imagine if Manchester United were in the predicament that Leeds were in, that every football
Thought
phone,
so. Well, that's what would
every
been off the
football
schedule,
phone
the old-
wouldn't have been.
Well,
They
they
have
have brought in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah, he's the Kevin.
Everyone
Sinfield.
thought he was great, and now they all want him rid of him.
So,
you know, it's just
but,
madness.
if people don't think that this is what
I just
the
want to
story is
But-
after Saturday,
The big issue I have, it's the long. What is the plan?
yes,
at Leeds?
exactly, that's the
You
thing.
know,
I just want to ask
Been
about.
thrown into real sharp relief by
Oh,
sacking
hold on,
David
Rich.
Ferner.
Phil,
Yeah.
let's just let's look.
good job you're not paid by the word.
So let's look here now. Then we've got the next 2 games, Cass and London. If we lose them 2 games, where are we?
It's a fight.
Where are we?
It's a fight for every single minute of the rest of the season.
Where's our next win coming from?
Well, it could
Oh,
be.
you can't say that because
it
we
could
said
be-
that before
It
the
could,
big
be-
cast.
it could be Thursday.
That's why he's saying it.
Yeah, you know what?
All right,
the
you
two
think
most, the two out of form
do you
teams.
think
are
they'll
playing.
beat Cass on Thursday?
Well, we'll get to
find out.
predictions in a minute.
I would
but
want to back Cass. I wouldn't want to back
I
Cass.
have to
the
say,
two
how-
poor sides at the moment.
how many predictions have we got right this year?
I get them right nearly all.
No, you don't. This is the man who said by 30.
Before we do move on, because I know we have to, I just want to ask, because a lot of people have mentioned him, and I tweeted on Saturday night, I thought he'd been set up as a bit of a fall guy by having to front up and make a statement. By the way, does someone at Leeds have a big folder on their hard drive full of statements just to send off? Gary Henderson sends it to the Leeds media department. Just send this one out today, Phil. Just send this one out. Callum Watkins, who is the captain of Leeds Rhinos, and we can all debate whether he should be or not, and whether he's a leader or not. I don't know. I'm not an expert on personality. I've only got a D. And an E, sorry,
D in
A-level,
personality.
E in A-level psychology, so I'm not an expert on what makes
What
it
I
a
would
leader
say
or
is
not.
one of the main issues that is wrong at Leeds at the moment, and Callum's taking all the flack for
Yes.
it, is there is no senior leadership.
He shouldn't be. He's not the reason why.
No.
Some people don't point and shout.
Right.
That's just not their makeup.
Matt Brindle, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
What's he saying?
I'll tell you later.
I'm trying to find the Leeds baby.
Is
I
it,
don't know if it's
is it
out.
libel?
No, it's just very funny. I think it'll raise a laugh. I think even you'll laugh at this.
I think Leeds have got the Leeds
Well, read
rugby.
it out then.
No.
The Leeds rugby hierarchy have gone wrong. They should have made Leeds Rhinos part time and kept Carnegie going full time.
So what's the odds?
But yeah, I'm trying to find out. Colin Watkins is getting blamed for all this, but is he? Should he have been put in that position in the first place? Is the captaincy impeding his career, or is it the?
No, I
injuries?
think the injuries is. I think the injury, and you know, Callum has spoken honestly about his mental health.
Mm-hmm.
He's been out for a long time. I can't imagine anyone that's got mental health worries being out for a long time is good for him. I think that's really bad for him. And he's a player that, when you see him playing great, he's got a smile on his face, and you think, "Wow, what a player that
When
kid
was the
is."
last time I saw him play well?
Well, I said earlier he's not been playing well, but is he struggling with everything? I don't know. I'm asking. I don't know. I might be
Yeah, but
speculating really
Matt,
unfairly.
Listen, mate. Listen,
But I think he
listen,
needs
Mark.
help.
I've been the captain of Leeds, Right, and by the way, I've been
Yeah,
sacked.
but I'm not being rude. I'm
But-
not being
but-
rude, Gary. You're a little bit more of a different character to
Yeah, I
Colin
understand that.
Watkin.
This is what I'm
You're
saying.
big and brash and couldn't give a damn what anyone thinks about it. He's probably quite worried when
Right,
he sees someone on Twitter
This is
saying
what
he's
Mark,
rubbish.
Mark,
And he probably worries about
exactly. This is what I'm saying. So take the responsibility and the pressure away from him.
But it's
Yeah, I
not.
agree
It's
with
not.
that.
It's not a single person issue. They do not have a coherent leadership group there.
that. Well, you know what they don't have? They don't have a decent halfback. And that's the problem.
But do you know if McClellan is going to be a decent halfback? You've only
Well,
seen him
Kevin
play half
Seafield
again.
told me he was going to be great playing for Leeds. That's
So,
what everyone
is he
told
now
me.
going to get the chance?
Well, I said to you I'd have picked him 3 months ago or 2 months ago instead of some of them that they're playing now.
Anyway, you know who should be the
And I go
coach.
back to recruitment. Not good enough. You get rid of a club legend like Danny Maguire, you don't replace him with a Richie Myler. You replace him with a Blake Austin or some Australian test halfback that's come at the end of his career, and you break the bank and say, this is a statement, this is why we've let Danny go, because we're bringing in a world-class player. You don't just get someone that's not... whatever people think about Maguire, on his day can still win you games. And he'll win you more games than Richie Myler will win you. And I like Rich, he's a nice guy, but he's not...
Good
Scully
enough for
said
Leeds.
it. He's not what they need him to be.
Derek's somewhat weird name here, and he shouldn't be the captain, Derek, you're wrong. He should be the coach of Leeds Rhinos, because he's got a great record as a coach, Alan Cuthbertson, because Leeds Rhinos women, because it's only the men in crisis. They beat Wigan 12-4 yesterday in Women's Super League. That's a segue, you see.
In a repeat
Like
of
professional of the grand
last
final.
year's grand final.
Castleford, who are the men of 2017, are the women of 2019. So don't back them to win the grand final. They beat Saints 30 points to 14. They're now the 800 crowd at Cash yesterday.
Brilliant.
Fev beat Wakey 40 points to 8.
You were
And
there.
Bradford beat York 40 points to
So,
4.
just for the record,
Adam Cuthbertson.
there were
Leeds
800 at
Yes.
thing. There were 500 at Rochdale York yesterday, and dare I say, I would imagine York would have taken a few there. Rochdale get funding off the RFL, and Cass Women get nothing.
They'll be funded by the foundation or whatever to. Well, they don't get paid, do they? Rhiannon Marshall, by the way, is the best number 13 in Rugby League at the minute.
Okay.
Saying it now.
Where did we get the bet in?
No, it wasn't there,
All right. Okay.
but we made up anyway.
All right. Fair enough.
We'll see what happens.
So what are the odds on?
I can't find
We
it.
don't know.
Oh, you don't know.
We don't
Right.
know.
Well, I think Sean Wayne is the favourite.
I can't look, so I've had to hand my phone in.
So also as well.
Scholars
So,
funded.
I'll Google it, I can't find
so
it.
when we're talking, because people have said to me again over the weekend regarding the Richard Marshall scenario. Sean Wayne, what Richard Marshall?
Well,
Sean Wayne might not need him.
again,
I agree.
for me, I don't think at this moment in time where Leeds are, it is a time to try a coach who hasn't coached at the very top level.
That makes complete sense. So, by the way, Fed fans have been up in arms for the last few days, at least two of them. Because Yana got their new coach at the start of the year because he had no experience, and they're saying, you never said David Fennell was a failed coach, says Graham, when you were slagging off Fed's coach at the start of the year.
No, I
Yeah.
wasn't slagging
think-
off.
Yeah, Phil.
I wasn't
I think
slagging
Graham.
off Featherston coach. I was just saying we shouldn't have Australian coaches in the Championship,
Yeah.
and I stand by
I think
that.
we did
And
not
that was-
say it should
that
take,
was
take
nothing
up
to
one
do.
of your playing
Yeah.
spots. Yeah, I still agree
And
with
that was nothing to do with the fact that it was Featherston. I just thought somebody who had no.
What time is it?
About 10 to.
Oh, Christ.
Well, we started late. So
Steve, where
Oh,
we
we
found
did.
somebody
these
who
odds?
had no experience shouldn't be allowed to take over a Championship club who is from overseas, unless you want to use that as part of your quota.
Fair dues.
So yeah, and I think that.
And David Furnell wasn't a failed coach when he arrived. We were told he was the Messiah. As it turned out, he was just a naughty boy.
If
He's
you
been a very naughty boy.
if you want to win tickets to the Summer Bash and see my favourites, the Bradford Bulls in action against Halifax in a preview of the Challenge Cup quarter final, which is going to be on BBC Two and not the main BBC game, as other media outlets have speculated wrongly, then all you need to do is retweet the link to the show, which will be going up after us, the podcast. You can share and subscribe on YouTube and like our page on Facebook and share, and we'll pick a name at random and we will be in contact with you on a Wednesday, and the RFL will have some tickets for you for the weekend at the Sun Bash. That's all you have to do. I think the Bulls fans have gone off to watch Coronation Street because they've stopped abusing me on Twitter.
That's a shame.
Has David Furnell made a comment since he's been sacked?
No.
And I don't think he will.
So he'll wait
Well,
till he gets back home and we'll.
Well, he waits till the check's clear.
Not unless he signs a non-disclosure agreement,
He'll
in which
wait
case
till
he
the
won't be
check's
saying
clear,
anything.
mate. Believe me.
Eh?
Once his check's
Oh,
clear,
well,
he
yeah.
might speak.
Yeah.
Right, we will move on. Leeds in crisis. I think I'm more worried than Phil about this situation, which
They'll be
worries me.
back.
Anyway, well done to the PDRL boys yesterday.
I say your Leeds. Yeah,
Even though I've been.
Am I playing for Leeds, Philip?
They won both, didn't they?
We've
Phil,
been
am I-
axed.
am I
We've been
playing
axed,
for
Gary.
the
Well, I
We've been
thought-
we like Ashton Golding. We just can't get in the squad anymore.
It's still, I liked it was a secret up until about Tuesday when or Wednesday when they announced it.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, I just want to say to all the Leeds fans, Craig Innes is coming to the game on Thursday.
Oh, is he
Old
playing?
Old
Is he
Post.
playing?
Posty's coming.
So
Get,
they could do in
Craig
being
Innes,
the
Craig
centre.
Hall,
I hope
Rob,
there's-
Yeah, Leeds
anyone
fans,
but-
he's coming on Thursday, so
I hope
when
they
you see him
stocked up
around
the cigarette cabinet.
with myself, Maskey, Ian Scott. Ian Scott and Craig are getting the heritage numbers from there, so we're around there on Thursday. So we want to come and say hi to Craig. Sensational centre. When I had him and Kevin Arrow outside me, it was an absolute dream. When they said in his own 25 score, he's slinging the 20-yarder, off you go, down the whip pitch.
Why didn't you
50,
beat
60
Wigan?
yards. Because they had overall better players than what we did.
Okay. Prediction time. Here on 4020 Live. Right, let's start off with a big one, the one that everyone's dreading to watch on Thursday. Leeds against Castleford. Castleford can't win. Leeds can't win. What say you, Gary
Big
Schofield?
opening ceremony at the North Stand.
Well, another ceremony of opening of the full stadium now. You know, it should be a great atmosphere. But Mark, as you mentioned, two teams that are just.
Will it be a great atmosphere? I don't think it will.
Oh no,
Be quiet.
It will be. I would say it'll be a very sombre, anticipated crowd. I would imagine to see what reaction, what we're going to get from last Saturday. So the game, 4 weeks ago, the drop goal from Dwyer. Leeds had it won. Cass had it won. Leeds managed to do it. Boy, oh boy. You know what? I'm fed up of giving Leeds second chances. I'm going Cass by 10.
Excellent. That means Leeds will win. Fantastic. Leeds by 1 in Golden Point extra time with the hooker kicking a 40-metre drop goal.
Oh, Phil, pathetic. Pathetic, Mr. Kaplan.
I've no
That were
idea.
two F's in that pathetic.
I've
as
no
well.
idea. There's no form line in either of these two teams at the moment.
I mean,
Richard Shaw.
last week when we did the predictions, we didn't know David Fernand was going to get sacked. So by the time we get round to 7:45 on Thursday, Leeds can have a new coach, and it could be Sean Wayne. And we're
Could be Darryl Powell.
Could be
No,
Let's
Darryl
hope it's
Powell.
Sean Wayne. I'm hoping it's Sean Wayne.
So-
And I'm not Sean Wayne's agent.
So everything could have changed by then. Jeez, it's been a long time since I've updated this spreadsheet.
I must be top by now.
Well, I
I've
need
got
to
to
do
be top.
some proper thinking now. I'm going to go for a Leeds win because I saw Castleford in the flesh on Friday. They were rubbish. And the thing I did say about the game on Saturday while it was going on is I'd rather rather Bradford got through because had Wakefield drawn them. I don't think Bradford can get better than that performance because everything added up for them.
Yeah, it was a perfect storm.
Whereas Leeds can't get much worse.
And had he kicked the goal at the end, they might
Yes.
well have won the game.
So I'm going to go for Leeds narrowly, but I don't think it's going to be pretty. But I don't think it needs to be pretty. Sir Richard Agar, he's back on Twitter. Good to see him back on Twitter this week. I've got Leeds by 2.
If Castleford don't win this week, I'm going to say it now, the season is over. It's over. They're not only before, but they're 2 points off the playoffs at the minute. It might seem, and they've got all these players to come back. They could still win Super League. But Darryl Powell, how many times has he gone to the well, criticised this, I want a reaction. If you don't get one this week, I'm starting to... Richard said to me when they lost the grand final, that's it, Cass won't win anything. And I thought he's just been a Wakefield biased git.
Yeah, everyone.
Right. But I'm starting to think he might be right. Darryl Powell put together the dream team to win Super League, and it didn't win Super League when it was supposed to. And that team has never been the same again. I know they've got big players missing. They need a performance. They have to win on Thursday. I think they will win. I'm going to go Castleford by 8. Right, Huddersfield Hull KR. This is a decent game on Friday.
Should be. Huddersfield, half decent against St Helens, but as I said about St Helens, there's a top performance on and off from there. Hull KR, well, what you get for Hull KR, you get brilliance or you get ordinariness from them, don't you? But I just think Hull Rovers, I think they'll be remember that performance what they put in there about 4 or 5 weeks ago, which after half an hour the players gave in. I would imagine Tim Sheens will be reminding of that performance. The supporters went a lot better from there. So I'm going for Hull KR to maintain the good away form. Won't repeat the performance against Huddersfield like they did 4 or 5 weeks ago. I'm going Hull KR to win. I'm going Hull KR to win by 7.
Well done, Len.
For Huddersfield's season not to have been over this week, they have to win this game and stay within touching distance of potentially the 5. And I think on the back of the defensive performance they gave against Saints, irrespective of whether you think Saints should have won by more, I thought that was a really decent performance by Huddersfield. And I don't know if Hull KR can do back-to-back at the moment, so I'm going Huddersfield by 12.
Richard?
I haven't got a clue on this one. I just do not have a clue. There's nothing between these two teams in the league table. There's nothing. I'm just going to go for Hull KR by 4, and I've got no real reason to do it.
I just look at Huddersfield, couldn't beat half a Wakefield team, although only played for 20 minutes. Only played for 20 minutes at Warrington, got spanked there. Yeah, they kept it close against Saints. I think that was more down to Saints being lacklustre than Huddersfield being great, got to be honest. The Saints, if Huddersfield play for that 20-minute spell against Wakey and Warrington, they do it for 80 minutes, they'll win. They would win pretty much every week. They can't do it, and I think there's a few cracks being papered over at Huddersfield. They've got a few key players that might be moving on end of the season. I'm going for Hull KR. I think Hull KR showed some balls winning on Saturday in the Cup. I think they'll show some guts again and win this weekend. I'm going Hull KR by 7. 7! St Helens Salford.
This will be quick.
Well, Salford seem to play pretty well away from home, don't they? But Saints, they just keep marching on. We thought Albrook at time might rest senior players, but he's not doing it. He keeps picking the same squad week in and week out.
No,
so.
yeah, he does.
No,
He's
he's
rolling him.
Not too
He's
many.
rolling him.
Not too many.
He's giving some of the kids a chance.
Yeah, not too many though. Don't worry about that. Not too many, but I just think the juggernaut will keep going from there, and I think Saints will win this quite easily. I'm going Saints by 24.
I don't think Saints will win it easily because I think this again is a make or break game for Salford in the same way that it was against Huddersfield. The excuses are out there now, so they can't use that again. Either Salford are going to be team fulfilling potential this year, or they've already accepted that it's breaking up. So I think they will throw something into it. But this Saints team looks as near invincible as I've seen in the modern era at the moment. That they've always got somebody that can do something to pull them out the mire. So I think Saints by 10.
Like Phil, I think this will be one of those games which is probably closer than you expect. So when I say this now, Saints will win by about 30. But Saints will win, and I will go Saints by 18.
I'm reading into Scoy's chat earlier about if it's a fractured camp at Salford, then they're beyond hope. They may as well give up now, sell the players, shut up the doors, and go home. Just don't bother. I hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong.
What new beginning?
I also think St Helens this week, despite Justin Albrook smiling, yeah, we're in the next round of the Cup, I reckon they'll have got a right doing today at training for that performance last night. Wasn't good enough. A good team would have beaten him. I think we see the bounce back of that this weekend. I think we see an emphatic win. If Salford are fractured in the dressing room,
and they are,
and that's what your leader, and I'll go with you. Your sources are generally very, very good.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I'm going Saints by 34. I think it could be a landslide. I stand by all the Salford. Yeah, Salford, I better get up. Whenever I pick Salford, they always lose.
Well, we all picked him last week.
Yeah, so sod off. Catalan Wigan. You let it that bit out, won't you?
No.
Catalan Wigan.
That's what happens when you talk to people.
In the new camp.
It's breaking new history, isn't it? New beginnings, new history. Let's hope we have brand new performances, and that they're putting a great show for the greatest game of all, the Catalans and Wigan Warriors. I was very impressed by Wigan against Warrington in the Challenge Cup. The Catalan Dragons, they want to put on the show. I would, both trophies will be on parade from there. Let's just hope they do the game justice. After Wigan's performance against Warrington, I think that'll be a confidence booster. I'm going for the Warrington to beat Catalans by 10.
I hope the first thing we get is a record crowd for a Super League game.
Mm-hmm.
I think we will. I think they'll sell more, or will have already sold more than 25,000 tickets, which I think is a massive boost for the game. And any Rugby League supporters that go on Twitter and say the stadium's half empty when it holds 100,000 people need to be horsewhipped by Robert Elston himself. I think this is such a prestigious event for the Dragons that they will be absolutely pumped up for this. This will bring back memories of that day at Wembley, which caused them to be at the Camp Nou anyway. I think they'll have the bulk of the crowd behind them, and the Catalonians are fanatical about anybody that represents them and wears that. And if they keep their discipline in that white hot atmosphere like they did at Wembley, I think they will win. But I don't know, 12.
12.
Yeah, I'm going to go for the Catalans as well. Wigan season is over now, isn't it? I think we've.
No, I think they still make the 5. Make the 5, definitely.
No, I'm going Catalans. And Catalans by 8.
I think this is a game, right, as a neutral, and I say neutral, no anti-Wigan bias here. I think as a rugby league fan, we need Catalans to win this game, because if they win it, and it's a great event, there's every chance it might happen again next year. And it might become a bit of a...
More investors might want to get involved in the sport.
I think this is the biggest game in the rugby league season. And I mean that. It's going to give us a record crowd. It's going to be brilliant. I'm gutted I can't go. I think everyone at the Dragons, this has got to have been a focus. This has got to have been a focus. Yeah. They must win this game. Wigan had a really tough game. Can they back that up? They've got Warrington again next week at the Magic. Do they prioritise that? Look, they could play really well against Catalan and lose anyway.
And they've got all the travel element as
I'm going the Dragons. I think the Dragons will win. Guijo drop goal. They're going to win. I'm going 7 again. I'm going 7. Dragons by 7. Right, London Wakefield. Repeat of the opening day when London beat Wakefield, legend.
Yeah, it was. But what I did, I questioned what sort of attitude Wakefield would go down there. I think they'll certainly have a different attitude this time. And they know what London's all about. They know what that service and stadium's all about from there. So, yeah, but London, they'll give a good account themselves. This would have been one game where I would imagine Danny Ward would have ticked the box and saying, right, okay, this is a massive possibility for 2 points. But I just feel as though Wakefield, the way they're playing, good leadership from all the senior players from there, they'll have the right attitude this time. I don't think they'll easy. I don't think they'll have it all their own way. I'll go Wakefield by 10.
I don't think it'd be easy either. I think the big advantage for London is that they've had the week off.
Yeah, bang on.
Which at this stage in the season is massive. You can really prepare.
Oh dear.
Is it Sean Wade?
Oh, it's David Ferner.
Let's put you back on his list. But I still think that the one thing that Chris Chester wants out of his side is a response when they haven't played well. I don't think they played well this week, and I think that again might have been not taking the opposition they were playing as serious enough as they should have done. He will be no doubt extolling all week what went wrong in week 1 and that they just couldn't live up to the hype. And it wasn't that they lost that game, it was that they were ahead by 12 points on 2 occasions and couldn't close it out. So I think that Chris Chester will be impressed upon his guys that they have to right a wrong this week, and they will by 6.
We just picked numbers at random.
Of course we did.
And bizarrely, the number I've picked is the same number I picked in week 1. And I'm still sticking with it. I think Wakefield will obviously have learned from the first week. They obviously have taken something out of sneaking past Widnes as they did on Friday. And will have been given a kick up the backside this week. And I think they will win, as they did in week 1, and was wrong, by 22 points.
Week off for London, huge, absolutely huge.
At this stage of the season,
I thought Wakefield had got to London week 1 and batter him. I thought they had no chance, London. You know what? I think London are going to win this week. I said last week I think Wakefield could win Super League, and I still maintain they can win Super League. But it's a long old season, and they're playing busted, Wakefield. You can't. They're playing busted badly. You know, they struggle to beat Widnes. I don't think the team's going to be too much different going down to the capital. London know what it takes to beat this team. I think London will win it. Be tight. London by 2.
I tell you what, with that prediction, you better be careful on the golf course if you're playing with Michael Carter. Well, he
not playing him this week, don't matter.
He won't be shouting for if the golf ball comes near you.
Last one, Warrington Hull.
Yeah. Warrington, they weren't impressive at all yesterday against Wigan. I felt Wigan were very, very unlucky, to be honest with you. And the black and whites, well, they'll want to keep hanging around the top.
Well, they conceded 143 points in their last 2 games with Warrington.
Yeah, I would imagine that will be reminded to them all week by runners this week. But can they change it around? No, I don't think so, to be honest with you, from there. Warrington, they seem to have got the wool over the black and whites. I'm going Warrington by 16.
I think Steve Price said all the right things after they beat Wigan on Sunday. I'm not sure behind closed doors he would have felt exactly the same. I think he knew they hung on and they have to be better. And I think what you said about Justin Holbrook, whipping them up, I think Steve Price will have been doing that this week. Too many of his star names didn't perform the way he wants them to perform. I can't get a line on Hull at the moment. Hull can be brilliant or atrocious, and I have no idea which one's turning up this week. But I'll go Warrington to win by 12. Could be anything.
We're all going for very similar numbers because it is that kind of game where Warrington will probably not ease to victory but win by a comfortable margin in the end. As we mentioned earlier, Hull didn't have to be brilliant to beat Cass. They just did what they did to beat what was in front of them, to take nothing away from Hull's performance at all. But I think Warrington will win, obviously, and they will win by 14 points.
We saw Scott Taylor after the game at the weekend, and he made a big thing about it being the cup, how that mentally refreshed and switched everyone back on. It's back to the league this week. We've seen Hull being very weak. Once they get beat, they get well beat. And I think they'll get well beat again. I'm sorry to say it. I think Warrington, they know they can beat Hull. They'll play with a little bit more confidence. I'm not sure. I don't think you can draw a line through that line of form last week. They beat Cass. That's all they had to do. We said it the week before. They left players out to win that game. I'm not sure they play that well. I think Warrington will win. I think the only thing that might keep it reasonably close is Warrington have a habit of easing up when they get in front. They haven't done that against Hull last two. 24 Warrington. Prove me wrong, Hull. Prove me wrong.
And the other big game, Greece and Norway in the World Cup.
Greece and Norway, yeah. Well, we won't go into that now. Good luck to Greece, good luck to Norway. Right, that's it. Remember, you can win tickets. How do they do it quickly?
Like and share the video on Facebook, like our Facebook page, subscribe on YouTube, retweet on Twitter, and we'll send a link out with the podcast as well. And send out, and we'll pick a winner on Wednesday, and there'll be lots more rugby league content available on 4020 TV over the next few days.
And a new magazine out at the end of this week, which will include the chance to win tickets to be in Club Wembley for the Challenge Cup final.
Very good. Well done, Ledge. Thanks to Phil. Thanks to Richard. Thanks to Kevin Sinfield for ensuring Leeds are in crisis for another week. We'll be back next week. Thanks to everyone that's tuned in. We'll see you next week.